It never fails.
No, it's coaches.
Yeah.
Okay. 5:30 p.m. We have a forum. We'll call the meeting to order. And I'd like to ask Yuri Huntington if she'll lead us in a prayer and a pledge. Yuri?
Stand please. Lord God, we just thank you for this day. We pray, God, that as we gather together, we have one thing in mind, that we are here together to collaborate well, to love on you and to love on the city. We just pray for creative and witty ideas, even as we meet together to go through this agenda. We just ask for your Holy Spirit to lead us and guide us in the perfect way that we need to for this city. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yuri, thank you.
Yes, Mayor, first up, we have Dale Garner with AEL. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Mayor, council, administrators, I want to thank y'all for the opportunity to speak this evening. I'm going to make this short and quick. I do know that you've got proposals that y'all are going to be looking at for the next month. And I just want to highlight a couple of things in our proposal that you hear from us before we start looking through. So AEL in the last 3 years is worked hard to build community relationships. We participate with Coach Casey at the school and the athletic department, donations and significant contributions there. This year, Jeremy West in district services, we bought polos and moisture wicking tees for them. And then Calvin Best with cameras for the auto digital department. So we think that that's important. It's a big part of who we are. And so we wanted to definitely stress that to you. Other than that, our proposal is pretty straightforward. We did, do everything we could in the way of free services. So our e-waste twice a year will be free. So that is something that we thought was very beneficial to the city, as well as white goods. We would put a roll-off out there to take care of the white goods for you. Other than that, I think we have 20 roll-offs in the proposal as well that are at the city's discretion to do what they want. But once again, we'd like to thank you for this opportunity and tell you how much we've appreciated working with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, next up, we have David Ratliff with County Waste Services.
Mayor, commissioners, town of Breck, I love your room. You did a great job here. I'm David Ratliff. I'm a director with County Waste. And RFP can be an exciting time for a town. And we're just excited to be a part of it. One thing that we know that an RFP does is it lets everybody come in and sharpen the pencil. And what I do know that I can tell you for a fact, any of these companies that are here represented tonight will certainly do you a great job. I work beside Joe and AEL, and I'll tell you that it's a good group. And we just want to say from CWS, we would love to be a part of it, and thank you for inviting us in.
Thank you so much.
Next, we have Kevin King.
Kevin King, 1507. First off subject, appreciate all the paving that's going on in the town. It's awesome. I'm just here as curiosity seeker. I've got to leave at 6:30. It may be past time when it gets discussed. I heard rumors about the fire station and the plan to demolish the old one and build a new one, and I'm really very curious on why that needs to be done, if that's what the plan is, or if they've looked into what it would take for refurbishment. I appreciate the work that the firefighters do, if we could save some money on, building a new building, give them a raise, attract and keep good people. So I don't know what the plan is, that building is sitting there, but I haven't heard, anything. I don't know what's going on, but I just wanted to come down and say my piece. So I'll be watching.
Thank you.
And that's all that we have today.
That's all right. Thank you, gentlemen, for speaking on there. All righty, item one, special presentation output, city secretary to administer oath of office to police officer.
All right. We have Elena and is Jeffrey here?
Yes.
Y'all want to come up to the front up here for me? Y'all just come and stand in front of me. How are y'all? Happy to have y'all. All right, if you'll just raise your right hand and just repeat after me, you can both do it at the same time. Okay, and do the same time. I state your name.
Jeffrey.
Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear.
that I will faithfully
Faithfully.
execute the duties of the office of police officer of the state of Texas and will to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state. So help me God. All right, congratulations, you guys, and then I believe that they want to.
It's tradition, for officers, getting pinned with their shield is a very important thing for us. And so, we give the opportunity for, loved one and family members, for both the officers that are gonna be coming up to pin them with their badge. So if they can come on up, family members, if you'd like to be with the family, come on up and we'll get you in. Okay, these are your new officers for the Breckenridge Police Department, and we're very glad to have, like our Officer Redondo, this is her first assignment as a peace officer. And Officer Branch has been with other units, but this is his first time with us, and we're really excited to have the experience that they both bring to us. So thank you all. So, no, that's okay.
Thank you all so much. All right, we'll go down to the staff report. For discussion only, no action be taken, listed under a portion of the agenda, other than to provide general direction to staff or correct rather than place a title on future agenda or action. I'll turn it over to our city manager.
Okay, well, we've got the employee of the month, and this is from our fire department, so I'm gonna ask Fire Chief Malcolm Buffkin to come up with our employee of the month, Brett Cheney.
For these last few months, we've been working real hard on that building over there, just to get stuff cleaned out, moved in stuff, and Brett, we're very instrumental in helping. I mean, he's coming on his days off from work just to help make this happen. You know, after hours, weekends, he put a lot of extra, and he is what our core values should be. And it's Brett Cheney, he's our employee of the month.
I got you.
Thanks.
Congratulations, Brett.
Okay.
Congratulations. Okay, so we've got, we have another presentation. Is he, Daryl here? Oh, there you are. Okay. Well, great. Stacy, if you can come up, and Daryl, if you can come up. So I just wanted to express our appreciation to you. Daryl is the president of the Disc Golf Association for Breckenridge. And this is the third time, but what they recently did, the organization donated the money to update the signs at the disc golf. And this is the third time.
Well,
Y'all have done it?
it's a community effort.
Community,
It's not,
right.
I mean, we get a lot of donations from the community when we have our tournaments. The chamber stands behind us. The city stands by, and several local businesses stand by, so it's not just Daryl, it's
Right.
totally a community
Well, we
effort.
wanted to recognize the Disc Golf Association because
Well, we're
we
happy to
really
help when we
appreciate
can.
you guys doing that. So we wanted to present the certificate of appreciation from the city to the organization.
Thank you.
And just express our appreciation. So,
Right.
thank you. Thank you. We really need to go along. That's the next.
Y'all all come out for Frontier Day down there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stacy. Thank you.
Okay, I did want to also just let you guys know, and everybody know, I'm really excited to announce that, the city is, for the first time in a long time, fully staffed, so we have hired a public works director. He will be starting, April 21st. His name is Keegan Burns, he's from, well, he's actually from this area, the Tyler area, I believe, and, but he's been working at the federal level, government Bureau of Reclamation, for the Hoover Dam and some other places, in New Mexico and in Nevada most recently, so, or Farmington, New Mexico most recently. Anyway, so I'm excited, he's gonna be starting April 21st, so of course, when he gets here, we will introduce him to you all. Also, Michael Paris, the BEDC has hired an executive director. Michael Paris is coming from us most recently from San Patricio County as the county EDC director there. And he was prior to that, he's been in the industry for 20+ years, but prior to that, he served as the EDC for Paris, Texas. So he's where he was before San Patricio, I guess. And he started today, April 1st. So, we'll introduce him. I mean, today was, he was meeting with the directors and the president, the EDC president, and, getting acclimated over there. But we'll introduce him in person next month. And then we also have hired, Stephen Sharp, as ACO, and he starts on Thursday. So, we're excited about that. The other things I just wanted to bring to your attention, if you remember, Mayor and Commissioners, you all approved an agreement that the BEDC approved back in September to rent out basically a closet for the head wall of the Vero fiber. And that they're constructing that building in the parking lot at the EDC. And we met with them. Of course, they had to get permits to dig. And this is in advance of the project. So if you want to go to the next slide, this is a combination. The red lines there are going to be underground lines. And then the blue lines are going to be overhead lines. So they'll have a total of 221,000 of new fiber optic cable going through the city. And you can go to the next slide. Basically, that's what's overhead. And then the next slide is red, and that's what's underground. So there'll be a lot of digging over the next several months as they get that set up and bringing fiber to the city of Breckenridge. So.
We're gonna need another visit on that though too, because they're not building it in the same spot we agreed on.
I'm sorry?
They're not building it in the exact spot we agreed on.
Yeah.
So I know the EDC will probably come back to us.
Yeah, the EDC gave them permission to do that, because originally it was gonna be inside the building. And I think for space, they went ahead and put it in the parking lot, and it does take up 2 parking spaces.
It's actually getting moved from there too.
I'm sorry?
It's being moved from there too.
Oh, okay.
So like I said, they'll come back to us. I know they will. They'll come back and tell us exactly where they're gonna. They met today to try to figure out exactly where it's gonna be.
Okay, Yeah, I hadn't heard that latest, but, so, it's the same company, that's the
Yes,
same.
everything else is the same, just the
Yeah.
location of it.
So just wanted to let you know, I mean, they are getting their permits and they're getting, they're letting us know and we're marking. We did meet, we had members of our staff meet with them, just kind of go through protocols. Our main concern is just when they're digging, we would like them to avoid our wastewater lines. We do go out and mark those, of course, but, so we just have a protocol of, who to call, who are the contact folks on that, when they start doing that. So, and the other thing I just wanted to bring to your attention, so TxDOT has a program through their transportation alternatives. Basically, it's sidewalk improvements and ADA improvements. And this is the map. It will be sidewalks on the north side and on the south side. This is a grant, I'm coming down, so we're applying for it. It will be fully funded. Normally, it's an 80-20 where the city pays for 20%, but because we have credits, we're not going to be liable for any of it unless there are cost runs. And we'll come back. This is very preliminary right now. We are putting in the detailed application. It is due in June. And we'll need to get, you'll be hearing from the city. We're gonna try to get letters of support from various people in the community, so we can submit those with our application. Definitely do need sidewalks out there, so I think businesses would, of course, support that. Go ahead.
Is that a curiosity? Why did we pick that particular area on Walker?
We didn't.
Okay, they did.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was trying to make sure I understood that.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
picked it. And apparently, they had added sidewalks in other locations. I don't know, before I got here a couple of years ago on the east side on Walker, I believe. Anyway, was it the east side?
So north of Walker.
You guys remember? Okay. So they do pick the location, so they're trying to, get sidewalks all along, especially in the most populated areas in Breckenridge. So it's 95% is what they explained to us when we met with them. It's 95% that, will be selected to move on, in the detail, but probably only 20% that we may get selected to be funded. Because there's just a lot of people that are applying for the funds and there's not enough money. But, they're doing a lot of the work, submitting the application. So, we'll keep you guys posted on that. Just want to let you know on that. Okay, next I'll let Jessica talk about the events.
All right, so for the upcoming events, we've got April 3rd is the last day for citizens to register to vote. So if you are not registered, please get those in as election day is coming up, and I'll go over that. The 13th through the 19th is National Telecommunicator Appreciation Week. So we'll be doing some social media things to show appreciation and, also individual things to show appreciation for our 911 dispatchers. April 17th is bulk pickup. As always, residents can sign up by the Friday before to be on the list for bulk pickup. They can, 3 large items. They can also sign up online by calling or via text message. Early voting is going to be here in this room from the 21st to the 25th of April and the 28th and the 29th from 8 to 5. And then the 21st to the 25th is wastewater worker appreciation week. We'll also be putting out some information on our wastewater workers. We want to make sure to show them some appreciation for all the hard work that they do. May 2nd and 3rd is Frontier Days, and y'all have an item on your agenda coming up about that. And then May 3rd is Election Day, so everybody make sure to get out and vote.
All right, Jessica, thank you. No action on that. Go to the consent agenda. Commissioners, if y'all look at 5, 6, and 7, and then we'll ask for a vote on that, please.
Consider approval of consent agenda items 5 through 7 as presented.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? None opposed? Thank you. Drove down to our action items. Item 8, discussion any necessary action on request to replat the property located at 612 West Wheeler and 614 West Wheeler, currently legally described as Brown Addition Block 4, Lot 6, and Brown Addition Block 4, Lot 5 into one lot. The property owner intends to build a single-family home on that plot.
So Mayor and Commissioners, you can see there, this was the 200-foot notice that went out. What is in the green block are the two lots that are going to be into one. So the total square footage on that is 1,400, about a little over 14,000 square feet, excuse me. And the public, P and Z met and recommended approval of this replat that you have before you today.
Move to approve the replat the property located on 612 West Wheeler is presented.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Item 9, discussion and necessary action approving BEDC board recommendation for incentive to the Fielding Arrow.
So this was submitted by the BEDC. They've approved it, subject to y'all's approval. And this is an economic incentive agreement to Field and Arrow to aid their relocation to the Stevens County Airport. Stevens County is leasing a hangar to them and is waiving the rent for the first year. The BEDC will cover the second year of rent. To qualify for the full rent reimbursement, the company must maintain a payroll of $250,000 for that second year. And BEDC funds this incentive.
Move to approve BEDC board recommendation for incentive to Field and Arrow.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, thank you. Item 10, discussion, any necessary action regarding approving BEDC board recommendation for incentive to Soggy Dog Wine and Brew.
So again, the BEDC board is recommending approval. This is Soggy Dog. They're doing really a great building, a great addition to Breckenridge. They've approved an economic incentive to Soggy Dog in wine and brew. The incentive is basically a mixture of forgivable loan and grant. So the 60,000 loans annual payment may be forgiven if the payroll is at least 250,000 a year for the next 5 years. The grant factors in 5 years of increased property tax and sales tax collections. The BEDC will also give a startup incentive at the door opening in the amount of 10,000. And again, the BEDC would fund this incentive.
Motion on that.
Move to approve the BEDC board's recommendation for incentive to Soggy Dog Wine and Brew.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Aye. None opposed, thank you. Item 11, discussion and necessary action regarding aquatic center operation for 2025.
Right, so we just kind of want to go over the anticipated hours of operation for the aquatic center coming up. We feel that what we did last year really worked out as far as long as we have enough staffing. So the hours that we're presenting are to open up the weekend of Memorial Day. We would open up on Saturday, May the 24th, and then the 25th and the 26th. Generally, we would be closed on a Monday, but for Memorial Day, we would remain open on that day. We would go to regular hours after that, starting on the 27th. That would be from Tuesday to Thursday from noon to 6, Friday and Saturday from 10 to 4, and Sunday from 12 to 4. Family swim, if you'll remember last year, we did move that from Tuesday to Thursday because there was other cities surrounding us that had it on Tuesday. So we wanted to give us the most opportunity to have more participation in that. So it is on Thursday from 6:30 to 8:30. And last year, we also introduced the addition of punch cards. We had some interest in possible like season passes or anything like that. So we did work last year with the punch cards. We had some participation. And we just want to start that to begin with before we move to actual season pass, see if we can get people on board with this. So we are going to plan to continue with the punch cards this season again, and that is 12 sessions for $30. It's a savings of about $6. for anybody who purchases those. We still will be renting out the pool, and those days would be Friday through Sunday, from 4:30 to 6:30 or 7 to 9. And that's $200 rental rate, which is gonna remain the same. And they get a maximum of 150 guests. So we're just presenting that as long as we have enough staffing, that the pool operations remain the way that they were last year.
You were started buying.
We have put out for applications, and we have received a good amount of applications so far. We really don't want to end up like years past where we get close to the end and it's a push, but that's I think that's always gonna happen. But we're doing the best we can to get more participation. So if anybody knows anyone 15 or up that wants to be a lifeguard, it's a great summer job. Or 18 and up can be a manager. So have them submit their application online. They can do it directly from their mobile phone.
I move to approve the aquatic center operations for 2025 as presented.
A second.
Motion second, all in favor? None opposed. Thank you, guys. Excuse me, item 12, discussion and necessary action regarding approval of Frontier Days 2025.
So, Mayor Commissioners, we come to you every year on the Frontier Days, and the chamber continues to do an outstanding job on this. And you have in your packet, what some of the activities will be. We've got a map up there. It will be held, it is a 2-day event. It will be held Friday and Saturday, May 2nd and 3rd. Gunfighters, the Got Talent, Breckenridge Got Talent, Cow Patty Bingo, Chuck Wagons, the various vendors, and a beer garden again. This would be the 2nd year for that. This year, there will be a disc golf tournament, and there will also be a volleyball tournament. So we're excited about that. Malin and Yudi, am I leaving anything out? Do you guys want to promote for volunteers?
If you would like to volunteer for Frontier Days, please come see me. I would love to have you. But other than that, I think you got everything.
Okay, so it's a great event. They do a great job putting that on for us. We do have an agreement with our hotel motel fund, so this is partly what that covers, so.
Move to approve Frontier Day 2025 as presented.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Thank you. Item 13, discussion and necessary action regarding approval ordinance 2025-06, amending chapter 10, article 1 of the Breckenridge Code of Ordinances.
So what this is an update to our ordinance. Now that we have a full-time code enforcement officer, just come to our attention some of the processes. So we are going to be updating our ordinances on several items. This is one, we don't have a minimum fine that's set by ordinance, and that is usually standard operating procedure for violation of, high grass and weeds and accumulation of rubbish. The other thing is this would establish escalate fines for repeat offenders. So and I don't know if you have questions. I mean, Jay can answer some of those, but that's all this ordinance does, just establishes that minimum.
Questions, anything about it?
The way it's written, it says to not exceed, but is there a minimum that I missed?
I'm sorry?
It's the way it's written by penalties is it will not exceed 500. Is there a minimum that I missed? I may have missed it.
Where are you seeing that?
It's 100 per offense, and then the secondary offenses from there can go up to $200 each offense. from
Okay,
there.
I saw that.
Not to exceed, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if there was a minimum, like it's the way it's written. And let me read it again, because maybe I read it wrong earlier. It just follows. No, that's subject to that's the.
It's in B.
The B, the B is a person's at 200. So, okay, gotcha.
Motion on that.
I move to approve ordinance 2025-06 as presented.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor? None opposed. Thank you. Item 14, discussion and necessary action regarding fire station phasing. turn it back to city manager.
Well, I'm just gonna go over some of this, and especially, for, Mr. King, since he's here today, to give you some history on this. We have been talking about this, and it's been, talked about here in commission meetings several different times over the last several months. I formed an ad hoc committee, and really what I was trying to do was just get community members involved. And really, here it was, the case study is, the problem was we have firefighters living in substandard conditions, and they've been living that way for quite some time. And I know funding has been a challenge, so that's one of the main things. I mean, we've got to get them out of those living conditions. And so one of the things we did was we took that ad hoc committee member and we actually toured the fire stations so they could see where they were living and the conditions in which they were living. And we met and we brainstormed about several different things. And that was probably over a period of 7 to 8 months last year. And then they made a recommendation, and basically that recommendation was in 3 phases, because again, we got to get them out of the living conditions that they're in, but we do have limited funds, unfortunately. And I'll get to that, but we do have limited funds. I mean, when it comes to our debt capacity is almost stretched to the max. So these are the different background things that the committee was, tasked with solving this problem, if you will. So phase 1 was basically place temporary living conditions on the north parking lot. And so we went out for an RFP on that, and that is now placed on the north parking lot. And I think you guys are enjoying that. That's what was being reported, much better living conditions. And we knew that was going to be, anywhere, depending on how this went, from 2 to 4 years, that they would be there. So get them out. And then the second phase was demo existing fire station. And then the third phase was construct a modest metal building. And we're looking at grant funding. We're trying to partner with the county to identify some grant funding sources. We were thinking we might be able to use CBDG funds, but unfortunately we were not able to. We will probably be looking at using some fund balance, which we have a much healthier fund balance now. But we would also look at perhaps a 7-year tax note, the funding mechanisms combined together to try to fund that. At that time, we were looking at, we estimated it was going to be 65, and we had gone out and tried to get quotes for the temporary living conditions. It did come in when we actually did the RFP. It came in at 67,000, so we were a little low. And the demo on the existing fire building, we estimated 150 to 200,000, and that was based on quotes received from local contractors. And so we have since confirmed those and that they are valid. So 200K is, the top there. And then constructing a modest metal building, we looked at several different local builders to give us estimates of what they thought that would run. And essentially, they were coming in at, using anywhere from an average of 200 to 250 a square foot to construct that. And given those figures, that would put it, we put an opinion of probable cost. We estimated 1.5 million using that general price per square foot. We did look at several other options. I'm not going to go into detail, but we looked at renovating the existing fire station. It was cost prohibitive, using an industry average of commercial rebuild. And I will say an anecdotal story is I was involved in a similar process in the city of Rome in 22 before I came here. And it was a 10,000 square foot 1920s old school building. And we were working with an architect at the time, and the industry average at that time was 325 to 375. Now that's Wise County, so it's a little bit, closer to the Metroplex. But that would have put it at 3.25. The other thing with remodels, most times, I mean, maybe, I won't say definitively, but, you know, when you're looking at remodels, you usually will add on contingency funding for the unknowns, and that can be anywhere from 20 to 35% of what that cost is estimated to be. So that's just the cost of that at over 3 million, unknown issues. We looked at constructing a new metal building on the same property to the south of the existing fire station bay, and leaving the old building. But, you know, some of the things that the committee had brought up was that, you know, we would have another empty building. And the opinion at the time seemed to be people weren't as married to that building as they are to the YMCA. So that's where we came up with the recommendation to demo the existing building. We looked at constructing a new building on new property in that area, because that area, and Malcolm can speak to this more, but is a good location for the fire response to get onto 180, 183, go north, south, east, west. And so the property they were looking at, a new property, was just it was east of 183. But the thing with that is that it would also entail constructing the bays, the new bays. So that was more expensive. And then, so hopefully that was the recommendation that was made to you guys at the time. We brought it to you, you guys approved that. There was a member that did have some concerns. It was a consensus, but did have some concerns about the cost estimates, that maybe they weren't accurate. And if we got a feasibility study, maybe we could get better numbers. And so 2 months ago, 3 months ago, I can't remember exactly when it was, we brought it to you guys. And you know, because you guys had already approved that, you know, I wasn't gonna make an executive decision. I brought it back to you guys, and you just said, well, let's go ahead and get the feasibility study. And keep in mind, you can have a feasibility study that runs the gamut. I mean, we paid 12,000, but you can have a feasibility study where you pay 50,000. So, you know, they gave us, this is somebody that one of the members knew, and so we used them. And they came back, presented that feasibility study to you, and that's what we're gonna talk about here tonight. So if you look, I will say, staff did meet with the ad hoc committee, and we reviewed the feasibility study. We reviewed the pricing that was presented. Staff had lots of conversation about the numbers that were presented in that feasibility study. And I will say that, you know, there was some concerns with some of those numbers. And so this is not, I mean, the bottom line is this is not to anytime, I mean, you could have, it's just, if you have a medical condition, you're gonna get a second opinion. I mean, you can get 5 doctors that tell you something different. If you have 5 architects, 5 engineers, you know, 5 lawyers, you can get different perspectives and different opinions. So, you know, we're trying to get the best information to you to make the decisions you need to make. We did get the feasibility study, talked with the ad hoc committee, and we had some concerns with those numbers. So, I do want to go over those. Okay, this chart looks kind of, let me explain the chart. If you see on the left side, upper left-hand side, GBA is Gary Baker Architects pricing. The engineered new building, new slab estimate for a new metal building is I'm gonna round these numbers, by the way. That's $2.2 million. They estimated the average is $400 a square foot on that. Okay, now if you go down, you see the remodel and GBA pricing, place that at 1.182, and that they estimated was at 206 a square foot. Now, what you see if you go over one column, that's what I need to explain. On the top column, you see 1423419. and you see a total of 798 in savings. So what staff did, and I'll show you the slide in a minute, but we went through those numbers, and there was some concern with some of those numbers that they weren't really accurate. So again, we went to some local contractors, got some different numbers. And there's one big one, I will say, their number, they estimated 577,000 for the demo, for example, of the building and the slab. And, again, we already have, we already have a quote. And we've confirmed it several times that it's a good quote for 200,000. Now, keep in mind, I think the price differential between 577,000 and 200,000 is because if we own the building, so when we haul the demo rubbish off, we can take it to our monofill and we can put it in the monofill. So probably a lot of that cost, 377,000, almost 400,000, is the hauling of all of the waste over to Abilene to get rid of it. So, because we can haul it a mile, to our monofill, that's probably a big saving. And there's some others, and we'll go through that. But so we basically identified what we believe to be $798,000 worth of savings. We subtracted that from the 2.2 million, and we came up, and then we added 10% contingency. If you go to that next column, and that price is 1.5 million for the engineered new building, new slab, and those are staff figures. And then if you go to the remodel, they gave us figures of $1.1 million, and what they didn't add on there, and they admit that they did not add on the engineering and architect fees. And they didn't add on contingency for the remodel of a commercial building. And so what we did was we added on 10% for the architect, which is conservative, but 10% for the architect and engineer fees. And then we added 35% for contingency for those unknowns for our remodel, a commercial remodel. So if you add those on, that's 1.7 million. That last line on there, we again went back to local contractors and we said, listen, we really need to sharpen these numbers. You gave us 200 to 250. Are those good numbers? And several, 2 or 3, I believe, said yes, they are. So again, just using the generic at 200 per square foot. Plus 10%, you're coming up with 1.2 million. And then at 250 per square foot plus 15%, you're coming in at 1.5. So if you see on the bottom chart, the remodel, there is a high risk of the unknown cost. If you look at using their numbers, 1.7 compared to 1.65, it doesn't seem to be that much, but it is a little bit less. But with a fire station remodel, commercial remodel, you do have a high risk of unknown cost. So that pretty much explains those charts. The other variable I will put in there is that during our conversations, because we met with GBA prior, and we did talk about the roof, and we did tell them that the roof had been newly roofed, because if you remember, we had the hailstorm back in 21, 22, May of 22. And so we did insurance covered re-roofing the fire station. However, it's a flat roof, and Wesley can talk to this more. It's a flat roof, but there's stuff in it that it's still not good. It's not that they didn't do a good job, but it's just a flat roof. There's just going to be continual problems on that building. So we did talk about that. Now, they were, when we met with them, they were saying, well, they didn't remember us telling them that. We feel like we did, but even if we didn't, if they were doing the feasibility study for us, so we paid $12,000, and we feel like it was incumbent upon them to look at the entire facility and give us good numbers on that, or estimates. These are all estimates. And we
It's not
understand
money.
that. So, and staff, I think conversation and questions probably. Our goal is to give you guys the best information that we can. And you guys have to make that decision, and we respect that. But we also do want to make you aware of, as much information as we can.
Can we say a few things?
Yes,
When you're
you'll
done,
come up, yeah.
come on, me and Wesley and Brett will go.
Yeah, if you'll come
I
up.
ask just a question.
Well, there's,
Can I ask a question?
yeah, no, sure. Can you come up to the podium?
Is the roof what makes renovating the building the problem? The leaking
No.
roof?
No, the
But
roof,
that's a cost.
it's a cost. that has to be
It's not the problem. It's simply, but it's a cost. And it's an additional cost to make sure it doesn't continue.
Well, it's cheaper than $1.7 million.
That's true. Can't argue that one.
And, what they're talking about would probably be okay, but it's still gonna leave a problem on top. It's not gonna address the auditorium, it's still gonna be crumbling, moldy, been leaking there for years, so it's not gonna address that problem. It's just basically gonna seal the bottom floor is what we want to do. And then they said there's gonna be maintenance costs to go with that. Every 5 years, you're gonna have to reseal that building. What kind of costs being involved with resealing the building every 5 years, we don't know.
Well, do you want to be specific, seal the building?
The
because
outside
walls
brick, the
are-
whole thing, yeah, the
The
whole.
walls are porous on the
Mhm.
west and north
They
side.
said, yeah, you're gonna have continued maintenance on that, and,
It's like drop the shower.
it's not like we're making a 20-year decision. This is probably a 50 to 75-year decision that we're making. Cause that new building, that TSTP building, how long has it been there, Bob? I don't know, since the early 80s.
About.
So that's 40 plus years, and it's still standing strong. And I let Wesley address the roof, and Brett had some stuff to dress up the plumbing, those people probably don't know. And that bathroom and stuff.
I will speak a little bit to the roof. The way that roof is, it's not completely a flat roof. It is a flat roof, with a gable roof built in the middle. And the wooden structure of that gable roof is bad. It's got siding on the side of it that's bad, seams are open, and anything that gets in the seam of that siding is going right underneath that roof. So the roof is new, but the siding that they put it up against is old. There's an antenna tower on top that's guyed off that wooden roof. The structure is giving where the guys are nearly loose. There's issues that they didn't even look at. All around the edge of that building, 25 foot up, are capstones that are about 3 or 4 foot square. They are cracked completely through and no mortar left around them. So in the same thing, in that same price, we haven't addressed the building, which was our main concern with the feasibility study, was the envelope of the building. Cause if we spend $1 million underneath the same roof we've been fighting for.
Since 84, since I was here, started.
So cutting to the chase, we just need a new building.
That's what we need.
Even if we had a good roof,
Yeah, I mean,
even if we had a good roof, we still have a cement building, the floors that can't be moved. Part of their remodel is the second story. They've got 700 something square foot. It's a storage room. And it's a storage room because there's a beam this high. And the only way to get in there is to climb up over that beam.
Isn't that your old housing?
And that's been the bedroom.
That was
for
the
last-
bedroom forever.
Yeah.
That's why
You know,
everybody agreed that wasn't.
the thing about it is that you can hang on to it, you can put lipstick on a pig, but in 5 years from now, it's still a pig. And the thing about it is that, I mean, my uncle was sheriff here for 2 terms. And the way that building is now is the way it was when he was elected in the 70s. So I pick up what you're putting out, and I would love, I mean, as much as it hangs on, it's not safe for you guys from a health standpoint. When you start talking about mold, you start talking about all this stuff, then it starts turning into a health issue. I mean, I can see. And kind of along the lines of what Kevin was talking about, like giving people raises and stuff like that. You give you guys a new place to stay.
your morale is gonna go through that new roof. And then on top of that, you're gonna be on top of your game because you've got new digs, you've got new equipment, you know, things like that. And then now, you know, the city benefits from that morale change.
Yeah, I will say that I've been here since 19 and we have made great strides in the last, I mean, our pay's better, our equipment's better. The city council, our leadership, the county's worked with us. We're taking steps in the right direction. There's always more. I mean, there's always more, but we're headed in the, you know, and this is just another way that we can.
Absolutely, absolutely.
We've got several firefighters here that want to be here. In our group, there are decades of experience in plumbing, electrical, HVAC, construction, heavy equipment. You know, every one of us has at least one other job. And nobody has more intimate experience with that building than us. These are guys that live there. They've been there every time the sewer stopped up, when the ceiling fell in on the beds, they've been there through every bit of it. And
it's been happening since the 80s. It
Right.
sure has.
Can I say a little something? Just,
Yeah, exactly.
I've been working here, this will be my 15th year. And so I've been through a bunch of guys that have come in from the Dallas Fort Worth area, South Texas, they lived here, worked. And at the time, a lot of them left because, you know, be closer to family. But the biggest thing back then was our pay. But now our pay right now is actually way better. We're pretty satisfied with what we're getting paid. And, but the number one thing they always would say was our station, our living requirements, the condition of the building, how when you wake up, you know there's something going on. You got your chest is hurting. We have bad allergies, and we've been in this new building for a month. Well, good. There was something about that building that I know there's mold, asbestos, and it's just one of the things to where we always say, like, if the city, you know, we're not asking for a $5 million building. We're just saying like a little, nowadays you can do a metal building with some nice little brick or, you know, stone around. But that right there to me is just, when you show up to work, like that little place we're staying right now, we keep it clean. I actually feel nice walking in, it's like, they actually take care of us. So it goes a long way to do just a little something. And the pay right now, I'm saying like, no matter what you get paid, we're always gonna want more.
Yeah.
But I'll say right now, 15 years, there for a while, it's starting to get to where I was like, is it time for me to move on somewhere? People like, we need you in town, because you know, you've been here forever, but it's like, you know, we lost a lot of people in the past where I feel like our living conditions and our pay, but living conditions is the number one thing that
I mean, to me, it's just got to the chase, and seems like the general, we're kind of talking around it. But the general consensus is we need to go new. I was like that from the start, when they presented it, and then I saw the contingency, and they left some stuff out here and all that. And I'm like, I understand, because I've been there, I've seen that building, and we would go on, they'd say, oh, we're gonna tour the fire station. I'd say, keep them outside, don't take them in there, don't take them in there where they stay. Cause that's, growing up, everybody, when I grow up, I wanna be a police officer, I wanna be a fire, that might change their mind, if they go in there, so yes, I'm right there with you. And when you were talking about the health stuff, that was the primary thing that I had heard, and that was like years ago.
the roof collapsing,
Yes.
we all, like a month, it smelled like mold, you couldn't even breathe in there, because the roof just caved in.
All the city did was tape the bed on. They came and hang plastic and it hung like that for a month.
That side, the inside in there, the wood paneling was there when Louis Hall was the sheriff.
We've had possums, living in the,
Yes.
they all live in the
crazy.
building.
And that remodel leaves all of that on the top floor.
Yeah.
But even that building we have right now, though, is, if we fix it up, it still does our layout, our function. There's 2 bays that, we still gotta, one thing is, we have to run around different parts of the building when we get a call. So when it's hailing, snowing, whatever, we're having to run outside, it'd be nice to have a building where at least you have some bays in there.
No, you gotta jump the wall.
That too.
Go run to the next building. Don't forget the jump the wall part.
The part about not building on another location is, we have most of our truck parked in there, and we would lose that, and it'd go to waste. And what do you reckon that would cost now for a 3,000 square foot truck bay. I'm saying probably 150, 200,000. When we built that in 15, it was 75, so I bet it's double now.
Yeah.
But we need a little more parking still, but not that much.
And you've got that other lot.
Yeah,
already.
exactly. We have.
What we're trying to do is save money when we build the station. So if we build 2 extra bays, off the bat, it saves us from 250 to 500,000. If you connect the new station to a bay, we have to put a filtration system in that sucks diesel exhaust out.
That's another
Those are
issue.
$250 to $500,000 a piece.
And we're
per
just gonna
truck.
separate the buildings and you walk away with that.
With the remodel, we still have trucks parked in the building. And that's a no-no now. You know, like all these years, they've slept right over
Right over where
right
the
over,
trucks run.
right over the fire trucks. So
That
every time the
explains a
truck's
lot.
started, there you go. There's exhaust right there. I mean, that's the thing right underneath the bedroom. And there's no way to remodel it without, you know, their remodel is to leave that just like it is. That's another issue that you just can't.
Brett, on that filtration, how far away does the building have to be from the base? If to not have. to-
It's-
We just have to have a 10-foot gap. We just have to have like a 10-foot gap.
10-foot gap, so
separation.
the building was
You
right
can't
behind,
be
like, for example, if the building was right behind the base. Let's just say for argument's sake, we just
We
leave
put
Brett
a
building
10-foot
alone
breezeway.
and 10-foot breezeway. Erect you guys a new building right there behind the base.
The only thing we'd have to change is in the back of the new bay we have, has a roll-up door.
Right,
We'd have to install
Seal
double
it off.
closing doors.
yeah, just close that one.
Just so,
Okay,
like just closing doors
yeah,
instead of a roll-up door. But all it needs is a breezeway.
so, yeah, that one I didn't know off the top of my head either.
I'm probably in the minority, clearly. I don't think the remodel is totally off the table. I understand I've never lived there. I've never experienced it. I do, however, have experience with remodeling a building from 1949. Where I worked just down the street. We had paneling, my eyes itched and irritated every day. I had a headache every day. We had paneling, we had green walls, we had 6.5 foot ceiling. Like, if I can touch the ceiling, we're in the wrong building. And, if y'all were to see it now, it's
It's immaculate.
immaculate.
You get it.
And I understand, why y'all are so burned about that building. But a lot of those stories y'all are telling are not gonna be applicable with the remodel. Like the possums and the ceiling falling in and the exhaust and all that stuff. That stuff will be addressed. In this remodel, it won't. I understand that the second floor is not being addressed. I do. And the roof, this right here leaves the roof and the top floor completely alone.
It's not in there.
Correct, but I don't think, like I said, I'm not necessarily for a remodel. But I think it needs to be at least a little bit more explored. I just, you know, it's hard to not give credit to this architecture firm who does this for a living, to not, to take their numbers and just add whatever we want. And then take their numbers on a new build and take them from the other way. Like, that just seems like a very skewed view, and I understand I would be burned by that building too. Regardless of if I'm for remodel or rebuild or whatever, I don't think we need to demolish that building. I think a 100-year-old building that is built by the same architect that built the courthouse, that built Olney Courthouse, that built everything else you see with those big pillar-like structures, regardless of what shape it's in, I think needs to stay. I know that creates more issues with y'all with the spacing in the bays and all that stuff. But a structurally sound building, that has withstood the test of time, I think needs more time. Malcolm made a point, you know, this could be a 50, 75-year deal. I hope so. But these metal buildings, these barndominiums that everybody's building, I mean, they're probably a 20, 30-year deal. I don't know. Nobody knows. But I've looked for the past 2 weeks out of my office window every day, seeing that excavator tear apart that old building. And it is the most solid structure I've ever seen. I mean, we got 8-inch concrete everywhere, more metal, more everything than you can imagine in that building. So regardless, I don't want to demolish that building.
And while we got you guys here too, I know I've had conversations with everybody regarding that too. But Malcolm, and Leslie, everybody chime in on this. So that spot where we just trimmed all the trees. Is there enough room there to erect living quarters for you guys? 2 stories, doesn't matter, like, leave a 10-foot gap.
That was the first thing we looked at.
Yeah, that's what we had talked about this way back when.
That
So
was
if
the
it
first,
comes down to not being, in that, in theory, saves us $200,000 not tearing down that building. It doesn't really, because we're gonna have to maintenance it, we're gonna have to take care of it. There's some costs that are gonna be on. But to get you guys finalized and get, because I don't think anybody's agreeing to, try to refurb that building to make it livable for you guys. I just don't see that. Now, what that building becomes in the future, but if we erected a building right behind your base, you wouldn't have to jump a wall. You would have to run from one building to the garage because we need that ventilation. But does that solve the problem too? I mean, does that, and just overall, it's not,
Because you
you
still
know.
have trucks parking in the old fire station because we don't have enough room in the bay.
we only have
As
4 bays
is.
right now.
So that's the other thing, that's why I'm asking. So we need more bays because that one's still tied to the old brick building. So, that's what
That
I'm
was the
trying to wrap
first,
my head
that was the first thing we
Yeah.
talked
That
about.
was the first
Yeah.
recommendation that we, but then when we talked about it, and they're like, well, why leave an empty building standing? It's gonna continue to degrade if we don't have money to, do anything with it.
Sell it.
It's just gonna get worse, we're paying.
That's what I kind of think.
But-
Kev, you wanna buy it? Like that? Never mind.
Let me say here a minute, I was, kind of like Blake a little bit on that early on. After I met with the city manager and some others, time and again, a few times, and looking at the cost to rebuild. We don't have the money to
No.
rebuild. The bottom line, if you rebuild, we don't have the money to try to go back in and do that. We're putting enough money into it for enough years that's the way I think we're gonna have to go. And I understand what Blake's saying. Louis Hall, you guys weren't even born back then.
He gave me a ticket for shooting doves on somebody else's land.
I'll be 77 in just a few weeks. I've got over 55 years in law enforcement. It's right on Highway 180, the Mexico border, wherever. And I come up here at night, you guys were either babies or your parents were thinking about having a baby. Y'all weren't even around. But I'd go up there to the fire station, dispatch right below that and visit, eat a little bit with them. And, it was like being in a dungeon. It's dark, they turn no lights and it's still dark up there. But I understand the feelings. I do. But again, we're gonna be putting ourselves in enough of a debt to do what we think we need to do, put a new building up. And I looked at the figures, this and that, to rebuild that and redo it, whatever else, it could go anywhere from $3 to $5 million. And y'all made mention about, raises that come about, people getting paid more. Well, that's because of these ladies over here, our city manager and her staff. They have worked hard. I mean, we've been in meetings where, hey, if we can cut back this or this or this, we give everybody a little bit of a raise. That will not happen. That will not happen a bit from looking at a price of $3 million up. So my thought, and I felt like Blake, the building do this and that. I did not realize here just recently that the people that put in a bid wasn't considering the roof. My gosh.
Ours upstairs.
Yeah. So anyway, we're putting in enough money into it right now. I can't see putting another dime, just get a new building and let's go.
How can y'all get to, 1.15 on a new build? Like, I mean, a metal, what are we, 4,000 square feet?
I think it's 4,900, I think.
So 5,000
So
square
our
feet.
numbers on the 200 to 250 are 5,500 square feet,
Okay.
based on 5,500 square feet. Now, their numbers were
4,900, I believe.
based on 4,900 square feet.
Y'all think that's reasonable? I mean, cause we want it to be nice and efficient and everything, but it doesn't have to have, 8-inch walls and sheetrock everywhere and stuff. I mean, is that,
That was no fancy finishing. That's
No,
just
really?
bare,
Yeah.
just bare
That's what I'm
basic.
asking.
Yes, it's just bare basic. what it is.
We're like polished concrete, sheet rock that's painted,
Yeah,
we're done.
since that wasn't part of it, thanks.
It's nothing like y'all have over there.
Yeah, no,
Looking at the figures that I saw, that the contractor, I believe they inflated some of them to their advantage. Now, I know they got 15 or 20% contingency, this, that, and other, but just, they went through it one by one by one by one.
We
There
asked
were a lot of
contractors
differences
to
what
look
they were
for
bidding to
funds,
what we
and
could
all
get.
of those.
So, again, can't put any more money into it, what we're putting into it. It's gonna be enough, you know.
Well, just, so for example, and we can go to that, but so, we just did, our engineers, this is a little bit different because it's a different type of a project, but it is an engineering project. And it is for, the TWDB projects that are coming up, the rural water assistance loan. The second one that we have going on that is up to 5.7 million. Those plans were submitted to TWDB by EHT and they added 20% contingency just for engineering.
Yeah, Bob, to be on it, especially if you start to talk about a remodel.
You don't know what you're gonna run into.
Exactly. I can
That's
tell you
the
that
whole
from
thing. You don't
personal
know.
Well, to
experience
be
in my
clear,
life right
okay,
now.
so to be
So now
clear,
new, you still want a change on that, Bob, too, because prices go up and down daily on lumber, metal, everything that goes into that. One day a 2x4 is, $5 and the next day 2x4 10. It literally goes up like that almost on a daily basis.
I asked Sage last time he was here, and he said industry standard was 12 to 15%, and they came in at 10. I was part of a committee that looked at doing a school bond last year, and it was Park Hill, I believe. And I thought they did not do their best attempt at that. That's neither here nor there. But even they were like at 15%. So I don't
Yeah.
think 20. I don't think 20 or.
Hopefully we don't spend it. But it's better to have it not needed than needed not
Needed, not
have it.
have it.
That's right.
Sure. Any more thoughts on it? Rob, anything on your end?
We just need to rebuild.
You guys?
I'm there. My heels are dug in the sand.
Okay, I got you, bud.
I've watched these guys go through that mess long enough, and we have the means and are able to do it, and oh gosh, let's do it. Let's don't talk about it. Let's do it.
Cynthia, are there any incentives? I mean, I know if I'm building a home, it's different than if you're doing a commercial project, especially for a city. But by doing a new building, there's lots of different things out there where there's incentives, efficiencies, that kind of stuff. You get, I hate to use the word kickbacks, but that's basically you get money back. And say you put in a higher series unit air conditioner, you can get so much money back. You put in more insulation. Do we qualify as a city in that category too, or is that just strictly homeowner stuff?
I think that's just homework
Yeah,
stuff.
I was
I mean,
gonna say.
I can look into that. And find out.
Would anybody like to make a motion? We'll go from there.
I move to approve phase 2 of the fire station rebuild.
Do I have a second?
Which is to,
A new one.
okay.
One more time on that, what is that saying? Build a new building?
Move to approve phase 2 of the fire station rebuild.
That means we don't touch the old building. I just want to clarify
Well,
this.
that would be, to me, but so we need to clarify.
Yeah.
That would include the remodel.
I'm just
I
reading
mean,
my lines.
That's why I'm asking Rob right now.
I'm just
You're-
reading my
Once
lines.
that issue came up, I mean,
Yeah.
so the question is, do you want to demo?
No.
Do I want to demo the
Do we
building?
want to remove?
I thought that was included.
It was, but,
Why not?
okay, I just want to clarify your motion.
Yeah, I mean, if it's part of it. I mean, if the demo and all of that is part of this rebuilding, so be it.
So your motion would be, of the rebuild including demo? Right.
It says rebuild.
Right. Because the leaving it there didn't come up until tonight.
Okay, do I need to restate my motion?
Just clarify that you mean.
I move to approve phase 2 of the fire station rebuild and demo of the old building.
Do I have a second?
no second, then
Okay.
that motion is not. carried.
No biggie. At least you know where I stand.
Cynthia, is there a way where we can, I don't know, maybe this has to be another meeting, maybe it has to be another one. I guess Michael and Blake, correct me, but I think Blake and I are on the same page. How do we get the demo of the old building out of that so we can move forward and get these guys in the building? Because nobody's arguing a new building. We're just arguing.
Well,
the
then
fact
the
that-
motion would be to build new, but leave the old building and build new in front of the, to the south of the existing bays. If that's what you're saying. And leave the fire
Basically where
station
the trees are.
stand.
Or the trees are.
So we don't have a second, so.
Somebody else has to make a new motion.
Would you?
I mean, honestly,
They just, if there's another motion to be made.
Okay.
I trust everything. I just don't want to demo that building.
So, let me clarify this, so we get this right.
Sure.
The motion, I need to put it in a phase, or whoever does, make a motion to approve phase 2 without demo. So move forward with the new build, no demo of the old building.
Right, and leave the existing fire station there,
Yeah.
build new to the south of the existing bay. Is that what you're,
Yes,
okay,
yeah, just
Do we not
behind,
take care
behind
of
the
the
base.
first one, or is he just adding
it
to?
dies for lack of.
Okay, that's still the same motion.
No, he's got a different motion.
Right.
Sounds like it.
I was saying like the building, the new building, all the countries are, we still, our base, we're still gonna be short base.
But we're
That's something
asking,
we're gonna have to address.
but we're asking, what happens if y'all get rid of the building? Say someone buys it. We lost 2 bays, we lost 3 places for trucks. We lost the tool room, welding
That
room.
building's gonna have to go back for another conversation of what's gonna happen to it. That's what, now, we can table this till the next meeting, correct? I just don't wanna prolong this anymore, because we've all been dealing with this for,
Well, right, and for grants, try to
Right,
get grant funding over
right.
time, I know it seems like timing doesn't matter.
it does.
I haven't walked in there for 5 years.
No.
But, so let me ask this question. It's my understanding there's somewhat of a divider where the existing bay is. The existing fire station's here,
Mhm.
and then there's somewhat of a divider,
About 10 foot.
That's it.
okay, for where the bay is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is there a way to demolish that bay and build new on that area, a new bay?
Well, that building's 2 plus 10 foot from it.
Okay,
That's not
So,
wide
yeah, I
enough,
don't
it
know.
wouldn't be wide enough to.
so we would have to have.
So then Malcolm, just for giggles, so I'm trying to picture, so if this is the lot, we got our bays in the middle, we put the new building back here. What's this parking lot in front of the bays? Is that ours or that belong,
You talking about across the street?
no, just
No,
straight
no,
up? the bay?
That's the city, that's the
Yeah.
city.
The entire parking lot's the city's.
So if the only problem here, this is not necessarily the greatest either, is whatever truck, if we had to put another set of bays over here. Trucks should come out this way and this way, but you gotta go from this building all the way to that one, right?
Right, it has to be
That's the
across the
problem.
parking lot, cause
Yeah,
when we
that's,
get,
yeah,
cause those trucks all back in.
Yeah.
They have to go all the way across the parking lot.
yeah, that's the.
Well, and the other issue is that parking lot, you guys tell me, but it seems to me like it kind of goes like that.
The further
Yeah,
northwest you get.
It doesn't kinda,
Yeah, the further northwest you get, the faster.
the faster drops on that area,
It's
yeah.
pretty unusable past the.
So we're
Could you
looking at
not- could you
more
not-
money.
Could you not
More
build,
money.
could you
No,
not build a new building where your temporary housing is, or closer to the fire station, and then new bays on the south side of the current bays? Like, but,
Where the where concretes are,
Yeah.
that could be a possibility.
so you were one trucks would come out on the L, the other trucks
Yeah,
would come out
that's
on
a
the L.
possibility, sure.
Where?
the
Where your
concretes
temporary
are.
housing is now, you'd have a new building.
A
And then
bay,
we put
correct.
2 more bays behind the existing bays that are
Yeah.
already there, they'd come out on Elm, so they'd come out this way, come
Talking
out
about putting them on the east side of the building?
no,
the
What
south,
about the rolling doors? and
where the
little
trees are,
things?
where the, so.
You're
Here's
just back, you're just back there to go outside. to
Here's the current building.
When it's hailing and raining,
Put
Get
2
to
more
run out the
bays,
parking lot.
put their bays right here, so they come out this way and this way, and
Okay.
then put the new
The
building.
bays be together.
Yeah, but.
That wouldn't make, you're gonna have to
And
split
when
up.
there's
the bays.
ice.
We're having to run across the parking lot in ice.
I know, that's what I'm trying to-
Ice, keep all the middle streets. Makes more sense to have one building.
We've kicked all these ideas around in that ad hoc committee, we really have.
Yeah, that was the initial thing, to leave it standing, but,
Remodeling
there
that
was a
building's not
consensus of the the ad hoc committee at that time to change that and present what you guys presented.
And they can get away with putting in a sprinkler system at building, because it is over 10,000 foot. But if you don't do the second story,
Yeah.
away from that $150,000 sprinkler system.
See what you guys have done?
It's just hard to imagine, I'm gonna build a brand new house, but I got an old condemn on the button.
Yeah.
It's what it's.
What be beside you here? No, I don't think, I mean, and I may be speaking out, I don't think anybody's on the page of remodeling the old building for you guys at all. Not at
What
all.
advantage would it?
They just trying to figure out how do we keep that 100. And they do, but make sure you guys get the new housing you get.
But what advantage is it to keep, what
If
advantage
it's
is it
there,
to
what
keep
are we
it?
gonna do? What are we gonna do?
What's gonna happen?
Storage, it's gonna be storage, gonna dilapidate and be another.
It's already.
But that's our own fault, so I'll go ahead and be the devil's advocate. That building was that bad because the city failed to take care of it prior to the hailstorm.
Put a diamond in 40 years.
If
Right,
we leave
those
it,
sort of things.
And now we could split hairs and say we didn't have the money, we didn't prioritize that the way we should have. That's an epic fail as us as a community, not supporting you guys and having better housing than what you got right now.
So if
Or
we
what you
leave it
had, that's
now,
an epic fail.
Yeah.
if we leave
We're
that
just trying to
building,
figure out how to make it all work.
if we leave that building now, or we putting windows and roofs and getting it
No,
in the dry, so that
It's
it's
gonna
at
fall
least stops deteriorating.
That's what.
I bet we're $250,000 into just windows and roof, and we haven't even done any masonry work. We'll spend a lot of money just, or do we just leave it and just let it?
So American Legion, I know different situation, but it was pretty much a condemnable building that we put out for bid and someone paid us money for it and now has a working business in there. I would hope that could happen.
the renovation that this will require.
I mean, correct, but still, I mean,
now, going back to the ad hoc,
There's a
too, everybody's
possibility.
tied to the why, but the why is even in worse shape than the fire department. So I don't understand why, I know why the community's staying behind, that building is not salvaged.
I've been trying to sell that Y for 30 years because the city.
You need to go get your
turned
stuff
it
on
over
top
to me.
floor.
You know, I had it forever when we had the gym and weightlifting and basketball, but yeah. And I told people, if you'll buy it from the city, we'll get a statue you put out front. They don't want a statue. But if this turns around, we have to start pulling it and try to find money. I'm gonna come look both of you guys up. Well, I might have a pistol in my hand. So we don't know.
well, and even, and I mean, I do understand about the building, and, it is an older building, but and, coulda, shoulda, woulda, I mean, I wasn't here, I don't know, but, having resources is a very real issue for the city of Breckenridge. We don't have a lot of resources, we're not a growing community, our sales tax are flat. You've got the state legislature that, capping our ability to get revenue. And so the reality is, we've been able to find some savings and increase efficiency of operations, and, get raises. I mean, because, you guys, and yes, staff presented it, but you guys have supported really narrowing down what are the priorities, and we're gonna talk about it after this, but I mean, they're very simple. Invest in infrastructure, invest in employees, unify Breckenridge, promote economic development and transparency. And so, I understand wanting to try to save the building, but you had a committee of several people that wrestled with this and talked about all the different options and what can we do, and if we leave it standing, we don't have money to invest in it, could we try to sell it, replat it? Meanwhile, we're continuing to do the minimum, I mean, with insurance and all of that, so that we do maintain coverage in case something happens. It's just, meanwhile, we've got a very real issue, and, we've got them out, we've got them in temporary housing, thank
No, they
God.
need permanent, they need a permanent structure.
But it's a difficult decision, I mean, but a lot of thought, a lot of brainstorming, I mean, going back and forth on all of this has been had.
What's the approximate square footage of the lot with the pecan trees?
It's, 60 by, I think 60 to the property line.
Probably pretty close.
60 to 60 the property line. We'd roughly get a 50 by 60 building 2-story. But we're trying to get away from 2-story because of stairs.
Yeah.
Oh, the pole,
It's actually a slide now.
I
You
get,
gotta pay
I
down.
wanna say the building.
Yeah, I
I
gotta
mean,
have
I
a
grew up
slide.
there for the last 30 years in that building. But I mean, once we could move out of it and we're done, it's gonna sit there for the next 10 years and get rather watered from the inside out. I mean, the downstairs, there's 2 bathrooms downstairs. The entire floor is hollow because it's leaked so long. The pipes are still lead. I mean, we've been putting Band-Aids on stuff for the last 15 years. And now we're just gonna abandon it. and it's
Problem
gonna
is, we've
sit
got
there and rot.
engineers that say the opposite too, that say the building's not, it's got deferred maintenance issues, but it's not that it's unstructural. It's not structural, or it is structurally sound.
I can show you
I know,
spots in the roof deck
I
this
know.
big with no decking that
you
you can
forget I
see
was
by
on that
standing
roof,
there.
I know. I know that building is a lot of money. That's why, just to me, at this point, that building isn't worth it, putting it, no money of Breckenridge is into. But I don't know
But
that it's worth.
we're just gonna leave it standing?
Yeah, that's the problem.
And, yeah, I
That's
mean,
the problem.
that's the thing is that, I mean, if you get rid of that, then that, that area is cleared out for possible future growth. Who's to say that we don't grow? I mean, that area is cleared and you've got room to grow in that area as a whole. But if we don't, we've got this, this structure there that we can pay homage to, knowing that it's moldy and we've got possums spending the night in it and everything, but my gosh, we wanted to hang on to it.
We love our.
Gonna be hanging around the city's neck for now.
We love our courthouse. When they built this courthouse, they tore the old one down.
And we still have to insure it, correct, Cynthia?
Well, yeah, we have to,
I mean, well, what I was thinking is that, okay, we demo the building, well, we don't demo the building, but we make a new building, okay? And then we take, some of the old building and we make like a memorial or a monument of it, you know what I'm saying? You tear it down, but you still have some of the building left, just like the old courthouse, or that's remaining on the court lawn or whatever. That was a memorial, like that was, to what has happened. So in that part, when you demo it, you can put up a small building that has old pictures, firefighters that died, all that stuff in that part where a part of that building was. So you get to keep you get to keep part of the building. It's not, you're removing the whole thing. You're getting to keep a part of that monument in Breckenridge, but then you are giving the firefighters somewhere, a place to live that is adequate for what they do.
Nobody's arguing that part right there.
So like with
It's
the old
the
building, you could tear some of it down or tear it down, but actually make a monument of some of it, you know what I'm saying?
one of the things, I will say, one of the things that was discussed was using the front bricks on that and using that for the engineered building, using those bricks on those.
I'm less tied to the historical meaning of it and more tied to a structurally sound. I know it's a piece of junk, but it's structurally sound. 12,000 square foot, 2.5-story building in downtown. More so than the actual like brick or the facade of it. What, so y'all have to back into that, every bay, correct?
Everybody's back in.
Yeah.
Like by law or whatever?
No, that's
That's the
That's
way.
the way it
yeah,
works.
we're pretty limited space wise.
Yeah, no, I know, I'm trying to look on the map, just, cause that's a lot, that's a huge empty parking lot that, trying to figure out in my mind how we could,
The bay was put where it is because that parking lot slopes so bad
yeah.
that the dirt work was astronomical to try to put it anywhere else.
That's the way
It was put there on the only level spot where they could put it and not spend a crazy amount of dirt work.
So I don't think that, and I've just kind of looked at this from the sidelines, but the way that I've seen it is, I don't think that the option of remodeling it was something that anybody was initially opposed to, but if money was not an issue. And I think that we all know that in the city, like money, we don't have the funds at the end of the day for the unknowns and for everything that could come up that we all know is possible in those buildings that are so old and when you've got the walls that you're jumping over and.
Even if
and
money was
the
no issue, you end up with the parts
if
of that
that
building
was-
that aren't usable.
Yeah, if that was not an issue and we were not trying to grow other parts of the community and to take what small dollars we have and stretch them so far within the community, that absolutely, that would be great to be able to just say, okay, we can remodel this building and keep this there, but we have a reality also of the fact that we don't necessarily have that unlimited funds that maybe some cities do. And I think that's where everybody at the end of the day is kind of come to that, yeah, we may have this option, but what are we gonna get ourselves into? And at the end of the day, are we gonna put ourselves in a worse position in the long run? And is that gonna cost things like jobs or pay for employees or anything like that, just to say, okay, well, we remodeled this building?
And so much of that 12,000 square foot is unusable. That, what's the bedroom up there now? You can't get it. Nobody's ever gonna use it. There's no access. There's a spiral staircase in the corner is the only way to get to that whole room.
Things creepy.
The cement stairs going up there, they're not, none of that can ever be used. It's not ADA. That's why it's been abandoned for so long. The truck bays, as they are, the water runs down between those two buildings and in that door and through the truck bays. As long as that building stays there, that stuff.
The bay floor is hollow.
We have a structurally sound building at the YMCA now that is still sitting vacant and nothing is being done with it. And we just we just put new roof and did some structural things to it when that happened, but still it's gonna continue to dilapidate because there's not the funds to fix it. And people have looked at it, at remodeling it, at coming into it, but the amount, I mean, nobody has done that. And so it continues to sit and we continue to have the same problem.
If that building's sad to make, and someone needed to use it to get it up to modern standards and ADA compliant, it would take a vital organ and then some. So, I mean, why? Why is it gonna sit there? I mean, if you wanna talk about history and a historical tie to the community, I'm the biggest cheerleader there is. But at some point, when it comes to your first responders and the people who are taking care of your community, progress should take precedent, in my opinion. And if you're gonna clear all of that out, you're gonna give them more room for growth. Say if we do grow and we need the extra couple of bays, we can grow. I mean, I'm all about, I'm looking ahead, I'm not here. I mean, heaven forbid if Breckenridge does grow and we do hit double digits in our population. I hope it happens, but I want us to be prepared 20 years from now for that.
Well, I say on Rob's point there, especially if we all put our magic wand in there and figure out what we're gonna grow to, but nonetheless, it will eventually grow. We all know that, whether we're here or not. By tearing down the old building and allowing those bays, how many more bays do we need if we had 2,000, 5,000? What's the number? Is there a number, like how many trucks we're supposed to have per thousand? Is there a magic number in the fire?
We're probably pretty close to where we'll be in the foreseeable future, equipment wise, because we have a spare brush truck and we have another truck that's the county. We have some equipment that we keep, that we use that it's kind of second run equipment.
Right.
So we're probably pretty close to where we need to be with those two bays. We could always use a couple more, but.
Yes, but I'm just saying, but is there a requirement is what I guess what I'm looking for is, okay, so if we gotta have X amount of firemen, X amount of trucks,
Yes,
or
there is
X
a
amount of people. I know there's gotta be some
Yes,
magic.
there is a requirement on your ISO book.
Okay, you got a rough idea on that, Brett? I don't. I mean, we can look it up.
We're already under the state mandated manpower, about 4 guys,
Okay,
so we're already against the state. Truck wise, we did good when we got the ladder truck in 18. We had a ladder truck in 18, which it's already 30 years old now. And barely works, but it works.
because that's the other thing I'm thinking about is, I know you guys we're gonna have this whole situation again in 2 years. Give or
Our
take.
bumper and tanker
For more
capacity is up
very
to
high dollar.
Yeah, see, we meet pumper, tanker, ladder.
Okay. so
Our
we
big
make that.
deal is manpower. We're 4 away from what we're supposed to be,
Okay.
according to ISO.
And then what's that number? Like, so we're at what, that population's what, 5,000, 6,000? Is that? where
I'm
you-
not sure about the population part.
That's okay,
Because
maybe.
it does the county too, so I'm not 100%.
Oh, okay.
Let's get back to where we were. We're moving clear off the left field.
No, we're trying to find a solution.
Well, I think the point that you were getting to, I mean, unfortunately, tough decisions have to be made, and, you know, you have to prioritize, there are a lot of needs. And this is not the only one, it's very important, but it's not the only one, we still have water, wastewater lines, we still have streets, and we're doing a good job, but I mean, you know, we've got 63 miles of road. And I mean, even with all the paving we're doing, we're not addressing 50% of those roads, so, you know, we have those outstanding. You have the equipment, outstanding, and we do have partnership with the county, on that, thank God. But, you know, it's just, you have to prioritize, and hard decisions have to be made. That's why you guys get paid the big bucks.
You get a raise on in here?
Okay, throw rocks at this, seriously, because, maybe I'm wrong, I hope I'm wrong, but as far as growth and aesthetics wise of the community. If you're driving through town, a new town, and you see this little barn dominium type fire station, or you see this old, neat, 100-year-old building that's the fire station, say it's working, just hypothetically, like, does that not, y'all don't think like the metal building kind of seems like more of a, like a quick fix or like just less nice?
Go visit,
but
go
less
around
aesthetically
different cities.
pleasing?
No,
Visit
El
fire
Paso built
stations.
6 of
You'll start seeing that barnuminium top with the brick and the stone are a lot more.
El Paso just built 6 of them.
You might go to Arlington, you might get a
Springtown built
$5
2.
million station here and there, but the other ones, they're still.
Well, they're not 5 million, new ones, we're talking,
Yeah.
I mean, and you can do and
Yeah.
we've done the math, we've done the research, I mean, people are spending, I was down in Alvin in 2018, and they spent 11 million on a new facility for an EMS and fire station, and that was in 2018.
There's a few cities that require their fire stations to be aesthetically equal with the neighborhood they're in, like if they're located in the neighborhood, they'll make them be that, but most of them are on main thoroughfares and the barn doors.
A lot of them are barn doors.
90 or 95%.
Well,
That's
and
not
they
all
can
metal, it'll have some
look
that's still
aesthetically,
walls.
you can
That
make it
them.
look.
Yeah.
My motion died.
It's in here. What is our actual motions?
We don't have one.
We don't have one.
Where do you wanna go with it, Rob? Or y'all?
Mine died.
Try again. I mean, I'm all for y'all getting a new place or, you know, whatever, but I don't know. Probably stupid to hang on to that building, but I just don't know if I'm ready to make that commitment. But, I mean,
So
if y'all want to.
So, no, hold on,
It's 2-1 if you wanna do that.
That's the question, is
if we table the demo, but we get their new building, would that be more circular, what you're thinking? Is this, and then we can revisit what happens with that building after?
Probably, yeah.
What, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Oh, just kind of what I was saying earlier, if we remove the demo, the problem is days and that kind of stuff, but if we remove the demo and have to approach it, you know, build them a new one on the south side of the building. Keep the old building, and then that'll have to come back to the table again at some point, because we're gonna have to address that old building, no matter what. I mean, but if that'll move forward and get these guys into our grant proposals, everything else that we've got to do financially to get ready for that, would that move forward is what I was asking, just no demo. Basically, build a new one, but no demo.
What options as far as placement of bays and new station did y'all look at as far as the current lot?
We looked at the one that the county owns over there by the WIC office he's built,
Oh, yeah.
bowling alley.
Yeah,
But
no, but the
Oh.
current
Oh.
lot, like on the parking lot side.
That parking lot is pretty much unusable past, that's why that bay's where it's at, so.
Cause that entire parking lot is about that much asphalt and the rest is rock. That's why it's as bumpy as it is. We can't even get out of the bays right now without throwing stuff off the trucks. Because you come off the concrete and it's.
But that's
hard to
another
do.
thing that's gonna have to be addressed even no matter what we do too. If that's a problem, that's gonna have to be addressed at some point, that's additional cost. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't need it, it does.
Oh, I understand.
We just gotta figure out where we're gonna get the money for it, right? That's the battle.
With the level of a parking lot alone versus a parking lot that supports the bay, that cost is, that's big cost on that foundation, whether it's concrete.
Cause you could build a station in the middle of the parking lot with everything. But it's how much dirt work you wanna do.
Is it still cost prohibitive
No.
to
The
do
answer
all,
is no.
to just still add another building, leave that one standing and do all of the, stuff, the structural work and the foundation stuff that'll have to be done in that section? Is it still cost prohibitive though? Which again, we're just talking about money, so,
Just
It's just money.
Well,
are we gonna
Cindy,
end
you
up
made
in the
a
same
comment
position?
earlier. You made a comment earlier that we're at pretty much, we're stretching our limits on borrowing money right now too. We're getting close.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
so that's why it's all trying to figure out what is the most cost effective way to do this. And I know that early on, before I was elected, I was on that ad hoc, so I got to see a lot of that. Malcolm and Wesley and I've talked about it in great lengths at different times too. And nobody's arguing the fact y'all need new housing. I just think that the challenge is gonna be what happens with that building. Which then, if we don't tear it down, creates a whole nother, go back to how do we make it, even with a new building right behind it, 10 foot off the back and 2 stories high. Cause I remember early on when we talked about that too. Your base, your equipment. If you guys, and maybe you have, maybe you haven't. I know we keep saying, oh, it's a whole lot of money to fix that parking lot, but have we ever put a pen to paper and found out the cost to level that parking lot and be able to do anything else with it, or just that we always just assume?
No,
it's
Leslie
gonna be
Larry told us
too
too
damn
high
much
to mess with, so.
money. So,
That was back when Andy was here. He told us not to mess with it.
yeah, but Andy fired everybody and his whole job was to tighten the budget, so, I don't know how much faith I put into Andy, I wasn't here for him, but just what I've seen.
It's not necessarily the problem with that parking lot. It's your access and egress for your trucks to get out of the base. You gotta put something out there in that parking lot.
Cause the
Yeah,
parking
and
lot's
you're
10
coming
foot
from
higher
the
than
south
each
all the
road.
way to
Right now, our
the
trucks,
north.
Yeah.
our trucks
You
hit.
already have to go through certain ways, the trucks won't go out every
Yeah.
entrance because it's a steep, so
Yeah.
it's a lot of.
Yeah, Keith.
I appreciate it. Anybody.
I know this ain't my dog in the foot and I'm the new guy in, but I have had extensive experience in dealing with, police departments and building jails and things like that. One of the things I can tell you, when you go to pretty much any town in the world, you're gonna find out that there's not police departments. I mean, unless you have a cell where, John Dillinger broke out, I can tell you, every single police department has been rebuilt, has been gone back. All the jails have been redone. And the reason the jails have gotten to be done, because communities have come back and said, our prisoners deserve better. And for that reason, I would just tell y'all that, I understand, and I came from a town that was founded in 1700, so I mean, history is an important part, but unfortunately, I can tell you that every building at one point or another got rebuilt under those guidelines, because there's many guidelines that you know better than I do, that you're not gonna be able to build and rebuild and do the things you got, so. The main thing I can tell you is, y'all have gone through this fight with your police department, you've gone through, many other cities around here, I can tell you, nobody's got the same, police department because of that. And like I said, I just, I think y'all are right in a sense, but I don't think we need to wait till the state comes in and says, hey, the prisoners deserve a better place. I mean, I think, the people that are your best resource to go home at the end of the night are the guys that ultimately, it's gonna be that place, and yeah, so. I put that 2 cents, I appreciate your time on it.
Thank you, Chief.
Can I speak?
Yes, sir. Hey, at this point?
Yeah. I'm waiting till now. Me too.
I get it, I understand. I think his idea was awesome. I know that it's hard to call time of death and say, let it go. I get it, that's a nice building, but so's this one here, and so's this one here, and we're super old, so there's a bunch of old buildings everywhere that are, when I was little, all that, the whole going up there, it's important. But if you took it down and used pieces of it to honor the new place and then have a little plaque, hey, this is built from this. That was the best idea. If you watch Hometown, that's what they do. Tear down this stuff and but still keep it there and use a piece of this and honor it. Let's just honor it. You can't beat that building. It's, these guys live there, I don't, and they're just.
They're trying to get them out of there.
I know, but.
Yeah, I think we all agree with that.
If
That's
even if
one
you
part
have a
of it.
new place, you can't, it's just too much to maintain that old car. You gotta let it go once in a while. That's it.
We talked about it only being money. Say it's 200,000 to demo. Okay, so that's 200,000 we could save. And then say we put it up for bid and somebody wants it. Say that's 25,000, say it's 50, whatever. That's another little bit that you are saving. I know that's, we're talking about 10, 15, 20%, but I don't think you can sell it where it sits.
I was gonna say, is there gonna be an
There's-
issue
If
with?
you build a fire
letting
station around it, who's
somebody
gonna come to
buy
it?
it bigger?
There's less than 10 foot between those buildings.
Now you're gonna have the business mixed in with the hope, it's just gonna be.
Trying to
Yeah, if
reach
there's
that.
anybody else there, you're got
Be
less
like
than
putting
10
a
foot
coffee,
for us.
driving a coffee
It's all
shop
as
right
a
next to
zero,
the
it's always be a zero lot line. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
you know, for to replat.
And y'all talk about trying to build a station right there, you're gonna build it beside somewhere who tries to do business, where someone comes in and does remodel and make an apartment, you don't wanna live there? Listen to sirens go
And
all
where's
day.
parking
3
issues
o'clock
right
in the
there.
morning.
We get told anytime
It's either we tear the building down and let's do it, or we move location.
Another idea, there is a property south Breckenridge, so pick a model building where that stood. Build a new station there, you build your housing on the north side, on the north part of the parking lot, you build your bays where you can drive through the bays, north, or east and west doors. And then, you know, if you need 6 bays, 3 bays, whatever. In 2 years, Breckenridge grows, you can add on to the building to the south,
Where's this at, Junior? I'm trying.
right there beside the post office.
Okay, that empty lot.
And I know the owner, or the owner of the property is willing to sell it.
Well, and so just in all fairness, I mean, I talked to him, on that, but I mean, even that, and this is where I told him, that is somewhat like the, option that we looked at in that new property over by the county. It's a new building and new bays.
Right, and the thing is with the store, the where y'all store your big trucks, you keep that and all your extra trucks, you leave them in there. So, you know, like the,
I'd absolutely be against having them across.
But then they've got-
but I mean, if you have all your, I mean, I'm just saying, you have a truck that's broke down where you put it in that bay, you keep that for, like you said, your storage.
Service and
You know, service, whatever, you know, you don't lose that building. And then, like Blake said, you know, you hold on to that building, put it up for sale, if it don't sell in 2 years, you know what you put into this new building. Okay, there's still that money left, so let's go ahead and knock it down. Or, and then you don't have no ties with the fire department on there, you know, you'll lose your storage building, but you still have growth.
Yeah. Malcolm, I know early on, we talked about the WIC office, empty lot over there. Okay, thanks, Jim. It's gonna tie to what you're saying there. And there was a reason that we didn't want to move the fire department. I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that right now you're so close to both main highways, right?
Yeah, it's good, it's perfect location where it's at, it really is, it's a good location.
The courthouse would be better, but they won't give it up. Where that's at, you're still about the same distance if I'm picturing the right
We're
property,
still a
right?
block off 183.
Right next to the post office.
Yeah, that's the thing. So you're still, what Junior brought up was
It's
just,
on the corner of, Williams and
No, I know.
183
Yeah.
And you still have, I mean, the bottom line is the cost for new building there plus the new bays, all the new bays. And
it's a 2-story barn, here's the rub though, it'd be a 2-story barn though. You guys would be upstairs, the trucks would be underneath, and then we'd have to have what you talked about earlier too. So you don't suck exhaust.
Oh,
fluid all night long.
When the traffic on Williams, that's like a super busy street. trying to get trucks, fires and people.
That lot's pretty unlevel too.
Yeah.
The south end of that lot's.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
straight.
That's why I had to ask where it was, cause I remember I'm going, that's a little high,
Yes,
but
Everywhere we're talking about, everything's elevated. I mean,
the only spot that was, Rob, was honestly was that WIC near the WIC office. And this was discussed early on too, being able
Yeah,
to,
'cause
just like Junior said, we'd be able to drive them in, drive them out, just in a circle underneath the
We
building.
fit a hundred and
Over
fifty
there.
foot long building by 80 foot on it.
I'm
We fit
sorry.
150 foot by 80 on that lot.
The post office lot?
No,
No, the
one
WIC
over
office,
there.
oh yeah, the WIC
So
office.
that
That
being
was,
tear
that
down
was
is
6
that one?
bays and just a deep station basically. With a separation. We went over there when we first talked about this and mapped
Yeah.
it off. with
I remember
Flags and
I was
stuff.
still involved in it then, so yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, we even thought of the lot behind the YMCA even. You know,
Yeah,
It's
we
big,
talked about that too.
you know, but then again, you're building new truck bays where we got
You got
75 or
those.
80% of our truck parking covered already.
And the only thing that's kind of the rub too, the piece of that building that you guys still need,
So I'm saying if something comes to worse,
yeah.
if y'all decide to keep the building and say you do sell for 25,000, the people tell us to get out, what are y'all gonna do?
Till you get out.
Now we gotta find,
Cause we have.
because those two bays are connected to that building.
Yes, yes,
So if
okay,
y'all
and that's
sell-
why I didn't understand that
So I'm
part.
saying, if
Yeah.
y'all sell for 25,000,
Right.
then you're gonna have to turn around and spend 60 or 70 to
That's
build
right.
new
building
bays.
new base.
Somewhere close to the existing station that y'all just built, because y'all sold this building instead of tearing it down. That's the situation we're in. Y'all are trying to save this building when it's not cost effective for the city to save it. Because what if y'all don't sell it for 10 years?
But
Y'all
it'll be
have to
different
do
than
up
any
to
other
on for the
building
next 10
Breckenridge
years.
has ever owned. I'm gonna be a real shithead about this, but I've been here long enough to go ahead and watch what we've done to every building we've ever touched as a city, and that is neglect.
Right, well, just because we've neglected them all this
Yeah.
time, why do we want to just?
I know,
add
that,
another
and that's
one?
kind of the catch here.
Start
Why-
neglecting it today.
Why do
Yeah.
you want, why
That's
do you
what
want
we're
to
gonna,
continue that?
if we keep it, that's exactly what we're gonna do. Unless we're gonna spend 200,000 or 300,000 getting it, we're gonna start neglecting it the day we move out.
Because they're, like, it's still gonna rain in it. When it rains, it's gonna leak.
Yeah.
We fix to turn the power off to it. What's that do? Water, heat, mold, more?
How did we, and I'm not pointing fingers, but how did we get a brand new roof and it still leaked? Like, how was that not
Because it
addressed?
wasn't done right.
I know, how was that not
That's what
It
addressed?
got done right several times.
Well, the issue's not the roof. The roof membrane is good. But it's a
The
gable
TPO.
roof in the middle of a flat roof. And it's
that
got
drawing.
vertical seam siding.
There's just natural spots everywhere on that roof that just catch water. It doesn't matter what they do to it, it's a flat roof.
Y'all said it
period.
got
It's
done in
gonna leak
22, you
eventually.
have soft spots.
The point of the roof redo was just to repair what the hail damaged.
Yeah,
Just like, I mean, in every building that we have, there was parts of it that were not due to the hail and that they can't fix structural issues. That wasn't their job. Their job was to come in and fix just what was currently there that was hail damaged. So they weren't looking at structural in that.
I got a new roof that time too, and they redecked it too. So,
Well, I will say, that it's a different response when you're talking about
yeah,
commercial.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's.
I mean, you're talking about residential and commercial, you're talking about apples and oranges.
I mean, there was, I believe with the Y, we did have to address some decking issues and things like that, but we had to come out of pocket to pay for those things. I mean, the city
For a
paid
building
for it.
that's
We
still
also-
sitting there and not,
We also had
which-
to pay for.
say if we did happen to have another act of God that came through like the hailstorm,
There
you
was
have to
some-
do that to that building. That's
There
still
was some
sitting there
quality
as well.
issues.
I
we
will
had to
say,
pay for as well.
insurance and liability, I mean, it's not cheap. I mean.
it's only
we
getting
spend-
more expensive right now too. It doesn't matter if it's commercial or residential.
Yeah.
We've become a hot spot for hail damage and wind and all the different things are, whether you wanna say the weather patterns are changing, whatever you wanna call it, we are getting beat to death. Everybody's homeowners has gone up.
And in
If
order.
you own a commercial building, trust me, it skyrocketed over after that last hailstorm.
In order to have it cover it for the actual roof or anything like that, even if it was vacant, we would have to maintain like a full type coverage on it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, if you insure it as a vacant building, you don't get as much coverage if you have something like a hailstorm or anything major that comes through. So it wouldn't actually take care of the damage to the building. So we still have to maintain like essentially a full, as if it's a building in use. So,
This won't get passed, so it doesn't really matter, but regardless of roof and the second story, is the remodel still out of question with y'all?
They're not addressing the third story.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm saying just what their plans were, the first story and that's it. Is that completely still like?
Their
Down
plans,
road.
their plans, they shoehorned it in to fit that first floor.
Yeah, no,
We've got rooms with walls that are jagged and stuff like that. Absolutely not ideal. Nobody designs a room, this room's square.
And it's
Don't
not
come in
gonna
here and
cost
have-
anywhere close to what they tell us it's gonna cost. Come from a plumbing standpoint, they said they would replumb that whole building for $60,000. We're triple that, because we're busting every piece of concrete out. We just do plumbing. So that number is already well over what it's supposed to be.
Do we need to maybe
Who's that plumber? I need to
table
hire.
this?
That's $60,000
I mean, yeah, you guys can table it. I mean, here's the thing, I
Well,
will
if
say,
Vince was here and was pro demo, does Bob get a vote too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it could be 3-2?
Yeah, vote, yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, the facts of the case aren't gonna change.
No.
There could be any motion
So
made.
the only other thing to try to get this moving forward, because it sounds like it's just gonna stay stagnant, at least until we have a full commission. Can we have a meeting in a week? Can we ask for me just to talk on this topic? 2 weeks, I mean, whatever. Can we just ask for just one to come back here, get everybody, Rob, Vince, myself, Bob, everybody here, and just have it on this one vote? So that
I
we've
mean,
got full
yeah, I mean,
commission.
we'll have to figure out when that can be and when everybody
Yes.
can be here, so, you can, you guys. Oh.
Well, y'all wanna make a motion that we just
Table.
table this for now, and then get back here as quick as we can?
Make a motion to table.
Yeah. Have a motion, table, have a second?
Thanks.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
No.
Okay, 3-1, it is tabled. Anybody? We're not gonna worry about that. You got anything to add for the next meeting next month?
We got one more item, Bob. We got one more item.
Oh,
We got one more item.
Everybody else.
That's kind of why I'm like.
That's why I was like,
Okay.
so you get off the pot.
Go ahead.
Yeah, let's talk about, okay, so
Come on, till we.
I forgot about that.
essentially, what I wanted to do, so this is one of our budget conversations. We did our strategic planning 2 years ago. As I've already referenced, we've got 5 main goals. And what I just wanted to go over tonight, if you want to do the first slide, is just where we've been, what we've done. Staff has already started to meet, get together their wish list, if you will, based on the current strategic plan, and that is based on invest in employees, invest in infrastructure, and beautify Breckenridge, promote economic development and tourism, and promote transparency and communication. So if you look at this first slide, this is invest in infrastructure. So you'll see. Okay, so you'll see in summary of progress, 22 and 24, those are, and this is not an all-inclusive list. I'm highlighting what we've done. So in infrastructure, we've developed the street plan. We've done, phase 1, 2, and 3. We have, I wrote it. So phase 1, the near term, remember phase 1 was the near term, so that was Elliott, Rose, and 7, various intersections. We've got the ongoing grants, the 2022 A and B for the wastewater treatment plant, water treatment plant, and park improvements. What, Commissioner?
No, I'm trying to.
I know, we're trying to get another
Nice.
screen over here as well.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Bigger one back.
We said, that one goes there, big one. Okay, Perhaps I want to take the photo. It's not on there.
What's that?
What
we done or what?
No. When, I just wanna ask, because I've been asked by 3 different people in the last 4 days about the Live Oak. When is because I know Live Oak's one of our roads that we're gonna do. But when is it? Is it what phase? I don't remember right now.
Well, it's probably gonna be phase 3. If it's on phase 3, I'll have to look
Okay.
at that. So it'd be
Yeah,
phase 3.
I had just, all of a sudden, everybody going up and down that street throwing fits, and they called me and I went, okay, and I was hoping that our next phase showed it, so.
Yeah,
When we
it
get to
is
that's-
online, but I mean, I'd have to relook
Yeah,
it.
no, that's fine.
And so the
I
thing
can
with
look it up.
phase 3, what I will tell you, phase 3 is we've been pretty straightforward with the paving project. Now we're coming into phase 3 that are going into some of those longer term projects that were contingent upon doing wastewater repairs. And so those have to be done.
We've got fixed 100 before we
And
fix the
then,
top.
yes, and
That's
so
right.
some of those will get shifted as far as when they're done.
Okay.
So, and we
Sorry,
are
I
going
just,
for.
that one came to head when I saw.
Okay, and we are going for phase 3, and that's in that second column. We're doing the RFP here pretty soon for phase 3. But again, some of those projects will be a little bit, shifting depending on the construction of the TWD projects this year and next. Okay, and so, construction, yeah, I would say that, I mean, we did budget, in 180, for system improvements in our wastewater, just in our budget. So what we're trying to do, and I've talked about this before, but what we're trying to do when we have water leaks, we have been going out and just repairing this much. What we're trying to do is, okay, if it's a bad line, if it's, falling apart, then let's replace 10 feet, or let's replace 20 feet, or maybe we go.
That way we don't
longer.
get that leak 6 inches. away
Right,
from us,
instead of
just
just
repair it
clamping,
3 weeks from now. Yeah.
So we're changing our MO in that. We're continuing, we'll be wrapping up our, parks projects and public works improvements. Basically, public works is pretty much done with the building out there. We're still going to, we did go for a splash pad grant. We didn't get selected. We're still gonna try to do that again. If you go to the next slide. So invest in employees, we have increased pay, we've done equity adjustments for the last 2 years, we've done the vehicle replacement program, which was a huge investment and it has had payback. We had them give a recap on that and we have saved money on maintenance and gas. And we have increased our positive employee culture. City facilities, I mean, we are doing something about the fire station.
Yes.
But we didn't take action tonight, we will.
Yes, we will.
But we are addressing all of those, so we just wanna continue to prioritize. I mean, even though we've made progress on employee pay, we've got to stay pace with it going forward. We're still well below the median range when you look at salary comparisons. So we are probably gonna try to get certification pay. Remember, it wasn't funded the first year. We tried to do 25%, 50, 75, and then this next year we'll try to do 100% on that. Of course, the fire station, the city hall improvements that you see, conference, continuing professional development and safety entrances. So we're doing that across all different departments. Next slide, please. Beautifying Breckenridge, some of these go under multiple categories. But so, we have increased code enforcement and of course we've hired a new code officer. We've prioritized and continue to prioritize substandard building and dangerous buildings. We have initiated a development review committee, which is really kind of one-stop shop. So we've got everybody there for a developer to try to help that process along if people are interested in doing development here. And we have reestablished, the community garden partnership, for example. Some of the things we're looking at is continuing to increase code enforcement, and Jay is doing a great job with that. We will be updating the ordinances as appropriate. The addressing project is ongoing. You guys took, action on that, for an ordinance last month. And so we'll continue to work with that, and that's for public safety and code enforcement as well. And then, continue to partner with, the community,
Keep Breckenridge beautiful to establish.
Huh?
To establish keeping Breckenridge.
Okay, yeah, so I think, what happened was the EDC tried to do some things, but what we really need to do is identify community partners that will do it, volunteer and support them. And keep Breckenridge beautiful. You have Keep Texas Beautiful. It's an umbrella organization. They've got all the admin infrastructure there. You go in, you don't have to recreate all these things. It's really easy. So if we can identify people that are interested in volunteering and doing that, that's where we can come alongside and promote that happening. Continue the Consolas Creek maintenance. Ideally, I mean, I have talked with our engineers, this would be a much bigger project, and drainage, as you all know, is an issue here. But one part of the Consolas Creek is concreted. Now, we can't do that with all of them because there's a whole lot of pipe buried and all of that, but if there's some areas where we could do that, it would, because we're spending a lot of money with spraying. Now, the benefit is, the good news is that we do have the use of the clients from Walker Cell, and they have saved us a lot of money.
No, and I don't mean to laugh, they are amazing, they've done great jobs everywhere I've seen them. I just laugh at clients. I have to really think of that word to use
Yeah.
when we're talking about the group.
That's how, yeah.
But I kinda like and the goats. Just saying.
Well, even that's expensive, but yeah.
They work the white jumpsuits now, they work a whole lot harder.
Yeah.
Goats, clients.
So some of the things, and we are working with TxDOT, I've got some things I'm gonna be bringing, but basically a lot of public art, Blake, I know you've been involved in talking about that, but, so there are a lot of communities, those utility boxes, they do public art on that, to help beautify the downtown area. We have gotten approval from TxDOT to do that, so I'm gonna be talking to the BDDC about that.
Another one you might, and everybody might think I'm crazy on this, and in the town I previously lived in, there was a lot of artist communities around us, right? Bunch of hippies. Anyway, but they gave up the fire hydrants. So for example, you might see one as a Dalmatian, whatever, same concept of which I think you guys are talking about doing those boxes.
Yeah.
And our fire hydrants could be, or whatever it is, I think it just adds charm to your town. People,
Absolutely.
so
Yeah, no, that's a great idea, so it's the same, yeah.
that way they could paint them, because they paint for it all. We
Well,
don't pay
and
for nothing.
there's a lot of things, and I wanna talk to the committee, but I
Yeah.
mean, we could have a contest and
Yeah.
involve a lot of people, and so. But we did, the good news is that we have TxDOT approval to do so, that is, so that's beautifying Breckenridge, promoting economic development and tourism. Again, you can see on the left side, those are the things that were our goals and some of the things that we've accomplished. We had as a goal, looking at the efficacy of reviving the Main Street program. I think that's still on the table, but I think there has been talk about, researching a downtown association and kind of, really trying to utilize the BDDC a little bit more in that. So we still have continued talks on that.
Does the BDDC still fall under the EDC technically right now, or are they?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I know there was talk at one point of it maybe becoming its own, okay.
Right, and a downtown association you could.
Yeah.
But right now it's under the auspices of the EDC.
Okay.
Yeah. So we did develop the 5-year plan, and part of that, the water is down, but I think it is still a good idea. We've got building docks out there. We do have a lot of use of that in that 5-year plan, looking at controlled access and having maybe a park ranger out there on site. That's in that 5-year plan. Of course, it's got to be funded, and so. But it's really promoting that as a resource that we have, and it is a nice area. So building coalitions with our community partners, I mean, we continue to do that. The city, employees are getting involved with, chamber coffee connections, and all of those connections really matter. Fall Fest, we partner with the chamber and with the county, and we've had that twice now, and it's gone over really well. So.
Cynthia, one other one I know that's about to change, and I don't know if we do, this is a question, do we ever get involved in, God, what's Snow call it, Boom Fest? Because I know it's gonna fall under the EDC, or not the chamber now.
It falls under the chamber.
Now,
yeah. So
yeah.
what we do, since we partner with the chamber in funding, we
With
give
the
them our hot
funds,
funds.
yeah.
That's, that when they have a 2-day event like
Yeah.
Frontier Days,
Right.
or if the Boom Fest, turns in, it is still a night event, so it could precipitate an overnight stay, heads in beds. So that is a good event, and yeah, so we do have that agreement with them.
Okay.
I think I've covered the other side as well. Okay, the next slide. So transparency and communication, I mean, development of the communication plan and updating of the website. I mean, these are all things that we've done on the left side. And what we're planning for is increasing video content. We're doing our Citizens Academy, and that's going over very
I
well.
was gonna say, how'd that go? I know you guys was it the first one?
We've had
Or has it been a
3
few?
meetings.
Yeah.
So far, and people are really enjoying it, and we've had good, I mean, for the first year, we've got 16 people, attending on a regular basis, so, I think they're really enjoying it, I mean, I know.
And I'll say, I think on social media, I've seen people that are in it commenting, hey, I'm in this, and answering questions to people
Right.
on social media, which I think
Well,
is
they get
awesome
involved.
as ambassadors.
Yeah, they get
Yeah.
involved.
And now
They're helping pass that information along.
It's good, it's good. I mean, I enjoy it, learning new things about the town and understanding Breckenridge now more in depth. Actually helps, and then when people do ask questions, a lot of people who's a part of that is able to answer.
Right.
You know.
They have the information.
Right.
They can, rather than the speculation of what
Right.
they think.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
spec, it's actually.
It's
this is the
actual
information, this is what's going on.
So we're getting that information out there. We've got, I mean, I talked to a lady today who was, thinking we were gonna pave Ridgeway and Jeanette, and I was, so I was talking to that, and I directed her through the website where we have all that information on there. Then she was talking about lead lines, and about the letter that she got, so I used that opportunity to talk with her about that, and I
Thanks
directed
for
her to the
scaring my wife.
website. Huh?
Thanks for scaring my wife. I forgot to tell her that was coming, and yeah. Did you see this? No.
Well, and what I explained to her, I mean, we were, we had to send
Yep.
that letter out, but it doesn't mean that they have lead. But anyway, so we've got a lot of information on our website, and we're putting more on all the time. We're looking at the purchase of a drone, I mean, just as we create pieces to try to communicate more. I think that would be beneficial. We're looking at social media retention, transparency, there are some programs through the state comptroller's office, financial transparency, that we want to get transparency stars and work towards that, work towards the GFOA budget. So those are some of the things we're doing there. So really the purpose tonight is to say, we've come together as the staff, we're coming to you, making sure that we're still on track. Are these still the main goals, these 5 goals, are we still on track? And because this is how we craft the budget when we bring it to you. And if and a lot can be tied to these things. I mean, infrastructure, employees, beautifying, economic development, transportation and communication. A lot can be tied to those things.
I think
we're
it's
looking for
working,
direction.
and what? Are we 2 years into it? Yeah, 2 years. I mean, anything new takes a little bit of time to get traction. There's always gonna be complaints. There's always gonna be people that don't like, they want something else to be the top priority. But like you just said, so much of what everybody complains about in town is already tied into these things. I know that I feel, at least with this, we have a clear understanding of what we want, which we, from what I could see before, we didn't. I think they're working, I think we go another year with them and see if it builds even more traction, because it's built from the first year to the second year, the third year, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing we're gonna do an open house and
Yeah.
like we did initially and, present this, because some of it is, they don't think, a lot of times they don't know. Now, again, this was strategic. I mean, when we did some of the park improvements first, that was done first for a reason, because those are quicker items that we could do. We know that infrastructure takes a long time to get cleared environmentally and to design, and all of those go out for RFPs for the roads. That takes a little bit of time, and people are starting to see it. But they saw those park improvements immediately, so I think as.
Low-lying fruit is what we call that.
Yeah.
I know you don't call that in the city, but it's low-lying fruit. Get the easy stuff, make it pretty, because the other stuff takes a whole lot longer to
Right.
fix. It
Well,
just
yeah.
takes a whole lot longer.
Yeah.
It's,
So having that open house, letting them know exactly what we're doing. I mean, like the Citizens Academy, they get an item, I mean, it's only 16 people, but 16 people for 9 months. Anyway, so letting them know what we're doing, let them know what we think is coming down the pipe, still got improvements to go. And then we'll do another survey, present that to you all, and, we'll be having budget conversations.
are we placing bets on the survey? Didn't change much?
Well, I would hope that it would change some. I mean,
Just the top things that people in our community want. I mean, we all know that roads, water, the things that we always hear, but I'm sure there'll be improvements on. I'm not trying to take away from that. I'm just saying that it's been such a long battle for Breckenridge, long before most of us were here. Except for maybe Stacy, because I think he's been here 20 years, so. 32. 22. So you know what I mean? It's. I'm just curious. I am curious on those surveys this year, because I know we'll have improvements, but when we looked at them year over year, it was basically the same thing. I think one flopped or something there, but not much. I'm just wondering.
We may be able to include questions in that of things like, what have you seen the most improvement on? Or, just to kind of gauge what people are actually seeing and if they're actually seeing change.
I think that's
We can
important.
Take what we had
Yeah.
and still grow on it.
It also gets them to identify that there have been things, like Kevin King said this earlier, when he stood up there, first thing he said was the roads, and I mean, how many people, I'm sure all of us have heard it. You can drive down LA, you can drive down, I think you guys did Harding the other day, I mean, just all these roads that are so much smoother, and there's always gonna be a road that needs repair, always. Again, it's only money, if we had more time and more money, we could do anything we want, but I would say in that survey, I don't think it would skew it, but I would like a line down there if we took a look, hey, what have we done right? Because they're gonna point out everything we do wrong.
Oh, well, we did.
What do we do right? What do you like about what we've done, or,
We did ask that question.
Yeah.
So some of them, we want to ask the same questions to see
Yeah,
what.
year
happened.
over year, right?
Right, but I mean, there are different questions that will be asked for sure.
And I think, and we had a slight increase, if I remember right, we had a slight increase over response year over year. So I'm curious to see, because this year was where you saw so much of the improvement. I'm wondering if we'll get more of a response. I'm kind of looking forward to this next round.
Well, and this year we also have the text my gov that people are, I mean, it's a slow process getting people on it and signed up for it. But we are getting people on it, so that does, we have the ability then also to send that survey out via text to people instead of just using Facebook or our website. We have another means of communication to get that out to people.
And they might actually respond to a text message.
That was the
That was
reason we're
the
going
idea
to
behind
that.
Yeah.
Was that text is what most people wanted in these.
Yeah.
meetings.
How do they want to be communicated?
Yeah.
Right, that's what I'll do that. And I think, I will say, I mean, on the streets, it is important to, know, and I say this in every conversation I have with citizens when they're asking, because there's a lot of stuff on social media that's just not true, but it was prioritized in the pavement plan. We looked at the condition of the road. We looked at the location of the road. I mean, the surrounding, is it by a school, is it by a hospital? We looked at the average daily traffic. So there was a lot of things that determined what streets were
But
prioritized.
Cynthia, it's not Sunset, and that's the only one that matters to me, or, you know what I mean by that, right? It's,
Well, absolutely.
and it sucks, because it would be great if we had the money to do them all, just start at one end of town and go crazy, but there have been huge improvements in our roads.
Do you live on Sunset,
I
right?
do, yeah.
It, no matter how bad that street is,
Yeah.
they will view it as you trying to
Yeah.
build your
It
street.
ever-
Yeah, no, I'm using that,
No
but I'm
matter.
saying, I'm just saying.
It doesn't matter. You can have 16 potholes.
Yes,
And you drive across them, but if you pave that street, you were doing your street while there's another street.
that's
out
right,
there.
that's right. The community will see it
That's
that
what,
way.
yes, that's
right.
why
Community will
my
see it that
neighbors,
way.
I told them, I said, y'all will not benefit by me living here. Cause our street will be the last one that will get done. So, and I said, I'm sorry, but
That's the
we're,
way.
we will need a Conestoga wagon to get out before we pave our street.
I said the exact.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I was already there before I moved in.
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, I can tell you just from, like, clients that I have that have properties that they rent. And I'm gonna give you an example. One of the guys that I work for probably has about 30 properties here in Tennessee. And somehow, the majority of his rental properties are benefiting from new streets and curbs and gutters. Well, that makes it a whole lot easier for him to have the higher rents, unfortunately, that we are seeing in Breckenridge. Because you're gonna wanna go live on that smooth street rather than drive down that rough street every night going home. So I mean, there's just, it's
Well,
again.
that, you know, one of the ways that, I mean, it's really elementary, but one of the ways the city promotes economic development is by taking care of its infrastructure.
That's right.
Whether it's
That's right.
water, wastewater, streets, because that drives economic
Yes,
development.
yes, it does.
So.
So get them, to start throwing some money back our way for streets. That's what we do.
So,
Is that what it is? Okay.
so that's it in a nutshell. We will go do the open house, do the surveys. We'll bring that information back to you. We'll continue our budget conversations into the summer. But if you have feedback, I mean, are we just generally, are these still good goals?
I think they will. I do. I think
It's great. I mean, absolutely.
the fine
It's
detail.
good to have a vision. It's good to have a vision and something to work toward. We're not looking at something just right there. We're looking down the road, and I think that's what Breckenridge gets a bad rap for, is that before any of us had any idea that we wanted to serve in this capacity, that all of that in years past just wasn't taken care of because there were other problems way back then. But nowadays, people see that, and my famous saying is, you can't fix in 5 years what's been messed up for 50. So you gotta have a little bit of patience, a little bit of vision, on getting that fixed, because like say Live Oak not getting fixed, well, that's probably because the pipes under that road are from the 1920s, because when they did parks, they found them. So I'm sure, being a parallel road, I'm sure that there's some reasoning for that. So, I mean, but what we're doing, we're working toward it, and I like what we're doing. I get a lot of compliments from people saying, hey, at least we see the progress, so they see that we're trying to do something. Whereas in years past, no one saw anything. So I think we're moving forward in that sense. You're never gonna satisfy everybody. We could pave every street in Breckenridge with marble, and somebody will be mad because we didn't use caliche. You know, I mean, it's just, you can never.
Human nature.
Yes, you can never satisfy everybody, but the fact that we're working towards that is great.
Yeah. Well, and I will come back to, you know, the conversation we had in the previous item. I mean, it is, unfortunately, we have to prioritize. Because we can't do everything. And year by year, I mean, sometimes, you know, I mean, 1 year, we did get 4% for the employees, but then, you know, the next year it was only 3%. And maybe sometimes, I mean, you know, we have in our, projections, I mean, when we're starting to project out, I mean, we have 2% in there as well, because, you know, your employees are your business, but it was so needed. But you know, it's kind of an ebb and flow, so 1 year it might be prioritizing this, 1 year it might be prioritizing this. And Anyway, so. So that's where we're at. If there's, I mean, always feel free to let me know if there are, priorities that you're hearing from people that you're talking to, communicate that to us.
I'm just hearing like Rob, I'm just hearing good things about the streets from a lot of different people.
I mean, they see it. And
Yeah.
I mean, there was one street I drove down and I was like, oh, hey, I forgot we did this one. I mean, you know, so there was stuff going on that even I wasn't really aware of that was getting done in a timely manner. So it's one of those, hey, get after it.
Forgive me, because I'm not a Facebooker and I don't go to the website a lot, but we are promoting, like, for example, I'm gonna use Harlem just because I go down that street so much. There's new curbs in there. Are we doing what we can and I realize you guys all have jobs and go run around, take pictures as necessary, but like, hey, we just finished this project on Holland and Smith. Yeah, I mean, are we doing it? Do you guys think we're doing enough? I mean, obviously.
We can always do more.
We did it.
Well, can we? Because we're spread pretty thin.
Yes.
We're not fully staffed, so that might give us a little bit of a.
Well, we
You guys maybe
did
you're doing more,
We
but.
did it, and people got on there, well, how come y'all can't do this street?
And that's gonna
I
happen.
mean, so that's
But
what
so,
I'm saying,
but
so
the
it's
human
out there.
nature is to point out, it's so much easier to go what's wrong than what's right.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
it's out
but
there
if
that
you-
we're trying
If you
to.
flood that with, hey, these are what we're doing, and it's funny because you see people go down those roads and like Rob said. I mean, I went down Hullum one day and had curbs. I'm like, oh shoot, I didn't even remember that was part of this. And then the next, within a week or so, we had new blacktop down that one. And Harding, I know I had emailed you about that one because you pretty much hit those bottles and slide down into Walker. You know, it's like, holy, and it's done. I mean, it's
Well,
beautiful.
yeah.
Go to North Parks and turn north on Parks and go down to West Fifth and turn west. That's where I live. We first moved back here, way back there, Park Street and West Fifth, my gosh.
There's some, but again, the only reason I asked that wasn't to criticize it anyway. If we can do more, if the staff's out there and they got their cell phones, because unfortunately, all of us have a cell phone with us 24 hours a day anymore. Snapshot a picture, the more we can feed out there, they're gonna complain. People, that's just human nature.
I will say from the perspective of the person that probably
Yeah,
does 90,
yeah.
80, I don't know, a large percentage.
The biggest
We
percentage
together
of,
do-
yeah.
We both together do a lot of the social media, and I will say, we, really the only ones that can do that, because you can't just have anyone going to post those things. So
No, that's what I mean.
we
That's-
definitely
yeah.
work and want to continue to add more, and that is our goal. We both have a lot of jobs to.
Yes.
They do a good job with, y'all do a good job with it.
We do really want
And there's
to
more
add.
positives, there's more positive people in the comments than you would think.
Yeah,
Right.
and they're getting better. I know that my wife's made that comment. They're getting better.
It
There's
is
less-
getting better.
There's less complaining and more about how they did. I don't know if we could ever give them enough, people in general, not just here in Breckenridge, but just in the world. The more positive you can stick in front of them. Yeah, because some people will never know. It's, Udi's not here anymore, but we joke about this at the chamber all the time. We can hang every banner on Walker Street that says Frontier Days. By the way, they're up. And I guarantee somebody, every year, we still get, Paul, you've been involved in hundreds of, I didn't know it was this weekend.
Yeah.
Well, good God, it's on social media, it's hung on the banners. I mean, it's like you almost have to shove it out there so much.
And we've talked about the fire station, I mean, probably 5.
But it may not be in a media that he sees, like, we
Well,
don't have a
exactly.
local news, the local Channel 5 News isn't broadcasting our city commission meeting like you can see in Keller and in Dallas and all that, which is a good thing, because all of those are having bad press right now. But, we don't have that, and I don't know where Kevin gets his, media, for lack of a better way of putting it.
Well,
but
I
that's-
mean, in the survey, we do, but you'd be surprised how many people, it's word of mouth. But that's again, one of the things what we're trying to do with the Citizens
Yeah.
Academy. So there are ambassadors and they're going out and they're saying, well, hey, what about this? What about this? And they can say now that they've gotten this dedicated information and they know.
But what was the number one? What was the number
Word
one
of
when
mouth
we did
was
that?
number one.
Word of mouth?
Mhm.
Word of mouth.
I thought it was Facebook.
No, originally it was word of mouth, and it probably, I would venture to say right now, we've increased our Facebook
Oh.
following tremendously. We've done text my gov, we've
I was
done our
thinking that-
website, we live stream meetings.
When you ask
This
people
is-
where they got
this is close.
where they got their news.
I would
I was
still
thinking
bet it's
that.
still.
People,
a
it's easier
large
for
amount of
people
word
to
of mouth.
ask than to look it up. That's just human nature interaction. They're easier to ask somebody about something instead of, I'm gonna look it up and research it myself.
Well, you do see that on social media. They'll put it out there. What about this? And it's like, well, you're asking the wrong people. I mean, you know, call up here because we're happy to talk to you, but that's what happens. So
Yeah.
yes, Facebook was way up there too.
Yeah, it's in the top 2 or
Yeah.
3 for sure,
Oh,
yeah. It is, and one of these days, I guess I'll actually play around on them. I'll just call you and ask.
Well, we can do more for sure, and we do try, but you know, yeah, we're all wearing a lot of hats. I mean,
Yes.
so I will say, even like with employees, I mean, we haven't, you know, there were several employees that were cut, when the last city, well, McQuistion, when he was here. And not to denigrate or anything, but it had to happen. They had to save a bunch of money, and they lost several.
It had to happen.
5?
Yeah, it had to happen. I mean,
Right.
We didn't have the money. We just didn't. So I mean, it was,
But they haven't.
tough
been
decision was
added-
made
they
during there and he's gonna,
haven't been
you
added
know, yeah.
back. The point is they haven't been added back, and so those people, I mean, there's people doing, I mean, she does, everybody here does.
So,
2 or
and that's what I will say, I always laugh, because when I came in, you had Calvin, who was it's kind of like Malcolm would say, was our fire chief, our code enforcement, our city inspector, or whatever. And I always wondered when I first got here, like, why in the hell do we got one guy wearing 6 different hats over here? Because you can't be effective at 6 things. You can be effective at 1 if you're darn good too, but 1's really the limit. But then after living here for a little while, starting to understand that, you know, hey, we don't have, you know, Dallas money, we got Breckenridge money. And that's the challenge right now. We need growth in order for that to change. It's the only way this town will ever get more money is growth. So that or begging for grants, one or the other. And that ain't gonna happen fast enough
We're
either.
begging for.
We're begging for grants right now.
We're trying to promote economic development.
Cynthia, did you have any more or anybody else? Cause I know I didn't. It was just.
Thank you all for the work you do. I mean, I know
Yes.
it's the time spent on this and all of you, my gosh. You know, it just doesn't come together by itself. I know we all appreciate it so much, so much.
Yes. You wanna wrap us up? Chuck?
Yeah, it's 7:55 PM. We're adjourned. Anything for the next meeting, come by one day and let them know. Don't
Yes,
call
sir.
me.
Hey, but Bob, I need to add something to the meeting, because you know, that brings back into session. Sorry.